Very good evening to everyone, the members of the profession, the senior members, the eminent speakers of this session, and all our other professional colleagues. Myself, CA Tanushri Lekha, the convener of this meeting, and this webinar is about the information system security. This webinar is being conducted by DAAB of ICAI, that is Digital Accounting and Assurance Board. I would like to present our speakers as well as the chairman, sir, for taking this meeting forward. We hereby welcome CS Nanda, sir, who is the chairman of DASB. Today's webinar on the topic of information system security is going to be organized by DAAB of ICAI, which is headed by none other than the dynamic leader who is Charanjot Singh Nanda sir, the chairman of DAAB. In today's era, the importance of information is known to everyone. The technological and system security, including the information system security, is very much needed for the existence and the growth of any of the organization. And for this, our institute, that is ICAI, is taking the proactive measures to educate our members as well as all other professional colleagues to take it forward and in the area of issues related with accounting and assurance in the digital world and security aspects of data and technology. And taking this session forward, we would hereby welcome the most dynamic and the eminent speaker as well as the chairman DAAB ICI, none other than CA Charanjot Singh Nanda sir. And enlightening us, we have with us the presence of two very eminent speakers, one being the Professor Kapil Kumar Suri sir, and second, the Saurabh Maheshwari sir, to deliberate on and discuss on the issues. Now, it's the time to have the words of wisdom from our dynamic leader, CACS Nanda sir. But before passing the mic, I would like to introduce CACS Nanda sir very briefly, as his experience, achievements, rewards, and accomplishments would take very long to be explained. So I have presented the shortened profile, which is very much known to us in our fraternity. That's why only few important points or the milestones are hereby presented. CACS Nanda sir is very seasoned and experienced as well as senior member of ICAI, leading our profession and giving his valuable contributions to the nation building by being the chairman of various committees of ICAI, such as Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICAI. Other committees that he is being the chairman are Committee on Financial Markets and Investors Protection ICAI, Committee on Information Technology of South Asian Federation of Accountants, that is SAFA. Sir has been the in addition to serving to the needs of our profession, he is also contributing to his expertise to almost all of the government bodies such as Quality Review Board, SEBI Advisory Committee, Committee on Mutual Funds, SEBI Committee on Disclosures and Accounting Standards, expert group constituted by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India on Investor Protection, Southern Asian Federation of Accountants, that is SAFA, and many more bodies of international famous. Sir has also been the chairman of NIRC of ICAI during the period of 2002 to 2003. Over here, I hand over the mic to Sir for giving his valuable inputs to this session.
Thanks a lot, Tanuji. The two revered speakers of the day, Professor Dr. Kapil Kumar Suri ji, Dr. Saurabh Maheshwari, the chairman of the SAFA, the president of SAFA in absentia, Mr. Nihar Jambusaria, the secretary of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, the technical support, and all who have come here to go home enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with yet another exciting session on information security systems and how you have to use them to create value and worth, not only for your clients or stakeholders, but for the regulators and government as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware that the profession of chartered accountancy now is reaching unprecedented heights, going hand in hand with technology, helping clients scale the barriers we had seen over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, technology is a very important battles that you have said goodbye to the era of sampling. You go through the entire data, find acceptance, the entire second important those don't have us. The work is finished on time, timeline, which is very important in this contemporary world. The third most important thing is that the environment and the inference and result which is got is error-free. Technology gives us so many leverages, but the most difficult thing of technology is that at times the security can be compromised. We as chartered accountants, we as professionals need to ensure that the systems have to be so strengthened. I remember we have a course on cyber security. We are having a study group on data security. Security of information is very important. Gone are the times when oil had its relevance, or dollar, or for that matter, even gold had its relevance. In today's time, data
I would hereby request technological support. There is some technical glitch from CS Nanda sir. I hereby request for technical support.
Yeah, madam, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm traveling. I'm going to Chandigarh, so I'm the way, and I'm nearing Panipat, so there may be some technical glitches. So I wanted to tell you that all of us have to ensure that we are professionally acclaimed to ensure that the data which we share, the data which we process, is ultimately secure. Professional inputs to you. But I would like to end by saying a small couplet which will signify that we as chartered accountants need to be embedded to the earth and yet transfers the entire universe, the entire sky. The couplet says, आसमां पे किसी के ठिकाने नहीं होते, आसमां पे किसी के ठिकाने नहीं होते, जो जमीन के नहीं होते वो कहीं के नहीं होते. If you want to grow high, if you want to succeed, you have to work in tandem with the best practices and remain grounded. That is very, very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, these types of seminar would go a long way in defining and determining the part to be played by professionals in reshaping the face of technology which the entire contemporary world is using. Thanks a lot for inviting me. The dice is all yours now, Tanu Lekha. You can take it forward and invite the speakers to come and speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for presenting your words of wisdom to us. I hereby would like to request, and as correctly said by CS Nanda sir, that technological advancements are going to come. And it's not going to come, it's already there. And today's era, data is the new gold. Gone are the days when gold were the gold or the other assets were the gold. It's now the data or the information of any organization that is going to be the data-driven economy. To present this topic further, I would like to request our eminent speakers. But before handing over the mic, there are many queries that I would like to raise. The queries will be taken in the end, like as we complete the seminar, we will be taking the queries once after the speech of our eminent personalities are taken. Firstly, we would like to introduce the first speaker, that is Dr. Kapil Kumar Suri. He is a known faculty among all of us. He has regularly conducted programs for companies that are IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, HP, Google, SAP, Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, and many other companies. He has also worked as consultant with Dubai Police, Egypt Telecommunications, Emirates, KNPC, and many more corporate as well as non-corporate clients. He is a very senior DISA and FFD faculty for ICAI. In last 24 years, he have trained thousands of corporate professionals and students across the globe. Along with corporate profile, he is equally involved and is contributing in the academics too. He is associated with many premier technical and B schools of the country and abroad like IIM and IITs. Along with corporate assignments, he is equally involved with sports too. Currently, mentor of MP Ranji team and Kings 11. We hereby present the speaker, that is Professor Kapil Kumar Suri, who is Information System Auditor. Handing over the mic to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Tanu. Thank you, Nanda sir. Yeah, I hope, Ms. Tanu, I am properly audible.
Yes, sir, you are
Very
audible.
much, very much. Sorry, sir, and you are always welcome.
So kind of
The
you.
forum awaits you for your words of wisdom.
Yeah. So kind of you. Ms. Tanu, let me just first of all share my screen. Kindly confirm my screen is accessible. Ms. Tanu, can you help me? I'm not getting the privilege to share my screen. I think same issue later on, I think Saurabh would also face. So kindly just resolve quickly. Yeah, please.
Is it there, sir?
Still, I'm not getting the option to share the screen.
Suri sir, place Alt S on your device.
No, I'm using, my dear. I'm using that only.
I hereby request technical support.
Just
Because-
wait, let me. Just wait. I hope I'm able to resolve. Ms. Tanu, kindly confirm. I hope it is accessible.
Yes, it's accessible.
Very much, sir. Please go ahead. Accessible.
Yeah. Thank you. So, once again, good evening to all of you, as well as, although it's still not over from the festival, still lights are going on along with the Nanda Sahib. So, once again, happy Diwali and happy New Year. Greeting to all of you. Now, although from last just couple of years, I'm not using the decade, almost daily basis, especially. Now we can consider we enter into the post-COVID era, and almost daily basis you heard about that each and every organization, they are giving the weightage that they adopted the new way of working culture, that is the hybrid mode. And whenever and wherever we are using this term hybrid, then default, this is a combination of two different working culture, that is offline and online. And now, under the current scenario, I hope all of you well versed as a professional, chartered accountant and auditor, that at this moment 70 to 80% weightage is of online and 20 to 30% is going on offline. And if my analysis would be correct, as per my involvement into the corporate, then upcoming 2 to 5 years, 90 to 95% business organization would be full-fledged online. Now, if organizations are working under the hybrid mode, organizations are giving weightage to online working culture. So their dependency over IT infrastructure and along with IS infrastructure would be maximum. Means now no more business organizations simply just looking to perform the data recording, just the data procurement, and go ahead. Now, data, like Nanda Sahab has rightly said, and I strictly follow that version. I hope you're able to see onto my screen also. That data is the lifeline and technology is the driver of the business. Now, under this hybrid mode, now most of the business organizations, I hope all of you would agree with me, now working not only the hybrid mode, now they are working under the new working environment, which is known as heterogeneous working culture. There is hardly any business organization which is running a single business cycle. You name it, even at the small level, the business organizations are running minimum 2 businesses. So 2 business cycles are running parallel. Okay. And at the top, there is a single management, there is a single business owner who is responsible for the total productivity, for the consistency as well as continuity of the business. Okay. Along with this, under the current scenario, almost daily basis you heard about that each and every business organization would be a part of a supply chain management. Now, whenever and wherever we are using this term, that is the supply chain management, it won't be possible without proper implementation of ERP. Because successor of over the ERP, we implement supply chain management and ERP at this moment. Now, if data is the lifeline, and when data process and it is converted into the information, then I hope from chartered accountant point of view, from the auditor point of view, all of you would agree with me. Although data is a valuable asset, but once the data is processed and converted into the information, then information would become a more valuable asset for any business organization. And now, to manage, to organize, to regulate, to control this data, start from the point of origin till it reach to the final destination, each and every business organization, like at this moment, again, out of 100%, 90 to 95% business organizations are now enabled with the ERP. So now ERP would also be considered as a lifeline of the business organization. And ERP, I hope all of you again would agree with me, is again nothing but it is a type of information system. Now, along with the information, whenever we use the term system, then again, I hope all of you would agree with me with respect to the system. We always concern about 3 stages only. That is I, P, and O, that is input, process, and output. Okay. And even any type of information system, you name it, any type of ERP, whether it is a CBS system with respect to any banking system, whether it is a Finacle, whether it is a TCS Bank, whether it is a GST, whether it is e-filing, now even at the governance level, because chartered accountant and auditor almost daily basis has to coordinate both with the business organization, means they have to coordinate with the management as well as they have to coordinate with the governing body. That governing body may be a central board of direct taxation, that governing body may be a central board of indirect taxation and custom, that governing body may be a NAFRA, that governing body may be a CCI. Now, all this are full-fledged enabled with IS, and they all are using a specific type of the ERP. Now, chartered accountant and auditor would remain into his or her office, and now real time dealing with all the different business organizations, means the different client as well as parallel as per the business need, as per the business requirement, coordinating with the different governing body. So here, without proper IS or IT infrastructure, one auditor, one chartered accountant, again unable to provide the best services. Now, if each and every business organization, either at the management level or at the governance level, and parallel to this, even the chartered accountant is fully dependent on to the information system. And now all of them are remotely interacting at this moment maximum, because if all of them are working under the hybrid mode and all of them mostly are working under the online mode, and I hope all of you would agree with my this version, that if you just go through your last 5-year data, whenever you perform any type of audit, whether it is a statutory audit, whether it is a concrete, most of the audits now you are doing, even the remotely you are interacting with the client. So now when each and every business user, when each and every professional having a maximum dependency over the IS and IT infrastructure, then default we concern about SECURITY, or that we also known as PROTECTION, that is security or protection. And again, all of you would agree with me, like especially whenever we'll think about the chartered accountant, and again in place of using the term chartered accountant, if I'm using the term auditor, because whenever I'm using the term auditor, then default I'm considering that person is a chartered accountant, then again, all of you would agree with me that chartered accountant or auditor is the only person we consider, whom we consider professionally SME. SME stands for, that is subject matter expert into one area where no any other professional we consider is expertise, that is risk assessment. Risk assessment, because whenever we'll think about the protection, whenever we'll think about the security, either at individual level or even with respect to the business organization. And now here, with respect to the IS and IT environment, we concern about the huge infrastructure. Okay. And not only, I hope so, those of you are attending this session, you not only concern about to implement the effective security policy only with respect to your business organization, but I hope so many of you like to become the subject matter expert and even like to create a one more new vertical, which is one of the most emerging, like Nanda Sahab already weightage, that is information system specialization, and committee is already responsible for 2 of the most promising courses. That is, one is IS audit and another is forensic. Okay. And this 2 going to be most wanted, if my analysis would be correct, in upcoming next 2 decades. Nobody can able to challenge this, because the manner in which the works are going on, we need more and more auditor, those who are expertise into this. Now, what about here? Whenever we'll think about auditor, then auditor default will consider is expertise into risk assessment. And whenever we'll think about the risk assessment, then again, all of you would agree with me. There are different stages we perform with respect to the risk assessment. That is, first of all, risk identification. And from auditor point of view, whenever we'll think about the risk identification, then we default think about ASSET, that is asset. And right now, we least concern about, with respect to any business organization, about the business model, about the business process, although all these again are the valuable asset. Our focus area is information system. And again, with respect to the information system, if we concern about the security, then please kindly just have a look. Just keep in mind, you people, I'll just prepare. This is my handwritten, so might be. But just keep in mind that you people at least able to understood what is going on with respect to the information system and where you people going to play the key role. Now, whenever we use this term information system security, so information security is basically umbrella. Okay. And in terms of mathematics, even this you can consider as a universal set. And with respect to this information security, there are number of subsets are there. Now, the first one, which is the most wanted, that is the network security. And please let me just remind you, I'm just trying to touch in a short interval the area. Whenever in future we'll get the opportunity to interact one more time, then we'll discuss in detail. But at this moment, let me just touch all the different area. Now, first of all, network security. Now, like I mentioned, at this moment, 90 to 95% business organizations are working under the hybrid mode. 90 to 95% business organizations are enabled with ERP. And I hope all of you would agree with me. No ERP and nobody can work under the hybrid mode. Nobody can work under the online mode without the network. And now, whenever we'll think about the network, and again, like I mentioned, that organizations are working under the supply chain management. Okay. And with respect to the supply chain management at this moment, in last couple of years, almost daily basis, with respect to each and every business organization, whether it is a service sector, whether it is a manufacturing, always you heard about, there are two types of models organizations are following. That is B2B and B2C. Now, B2B and B2C won't be possible without proper implementation of network. And now, whenever we'll think about the network, then there are three types of the networks we are using at this moment. Number one, intra, which is within the organization. Another one is extra, like whenever and wherever we use the term B2B, like one manufacturing unit on daily basis perform transaction with n number of the vendor organization, n number of the warehouses, means the n number of the different business associate. So vendor is one independent business organization, warehouse is one independent business organization, even from chartered accountant point of view. Chartered accountant is one independent service provider, client is one independent entity. So the transaction would be B2B or B2C. Okay. So now here, within the organization, intra, outside the organization, within the bonded area, that is extra. Then the third one is that is inter. Okay. And now here, again, with respect to the network is again for the classified are of two types, that is public and the private. And again, I hope all of you would agree with me that at this moment, you name it, any business organization anywhere in the world, each and every organization offering their services, both at the manufacturing and the service organization, whether it is a banking, whether it is insurance, whether it is a State Bank of India, whether it is LIC, the leading insurance service provider in the country, the second largest financial institute. If all of them are offering their services 24/7, so their dependency over the network would be the maximum. Okay. And what they are looking for, that their network should be free of any type of the technical glitch. Like a moment before, I hope all of you observed that Nanda Saab interacted with us. Okay. Into the moving vehicle. Now, not the Nanda Saab at this moment, most of the top level management like to interact with their different business units in this manner only. Okay. And their fundamental requirement that wherever they are, whether they are within the city or whether they are into the rural area, they able to access the best network, and that network should be free of any type of the technical glitch, as well as along with this, network free of any bugs, network free of any type of defects, network free of any type of error. But now, whenever we'll think about the hacker, whenever we'll think about any type of fraudster, so any hacker or any fraudster anywhere in the world, with respect to any business organization, first of all, attack into the network. And if percentage of vulnerability into the network would be maximum. Okay. And if organization even is not alert, not aware, and organization has not taken any preventive measure to overcome then that hacker, that outsider fraudster would technically would be considered as a threat. I hope all of you would agree with me, my terms, which are those which I'm using. So that hacker, fraudster would like to exploit the vulnerability. So now, when the size of the organization, every passing moment, with every new business cycle, each and every business organization, they like to expand size of their business organization, means they like to expand size of their network. Then whenever they expand the size of their network, then in the same manner, from the auditor point of view, from the chartered accountant point of view, I hope all of you would agree with me. Many of the business owner, many of the business organization, and many of the management, they least focus about the security measure. Okay. Because their focus is just to maintain the productivity of the business. Okay. And when they least concern about to take the right measure, it will create opportunity for number of threats in the form of the hacker, in the form of the fraudster. Some of them are internal, some of them are from external. So now it will create opportunity for people like you to, and whenever we'll think about the chartered accountant and auditor. So what about here? What about here? Whenever we'll think about the risk identification, then after the risk identification default, the second activity or the second process would be the risk analysis. And now under the risk analysis, especially with respect to the network security, now this is the job of auditor. This is the job of, I'm using the term auditor, then default the chartered accountant, to measure all the different type of vulnerability test. Okay, according to the size, according to the nature of the business, according to the type of the business organization, and then based on the risk appetite of the business organization, based on the risk tolerance level of the business organization, suggest them or advise them. And the same thing even you people can implement with respect to your own organization also. Okay. And the solution, whenever we'll think about after the risk analysis, during the risk analysis, there is a vulnerability test and there is a threat modeling. There are two activities. One is the vulnerability test. Another is a threat modeling. Okay. And vulnerability test and threat modeling, both the activities, I hope you're able to see onto my screen. If you want, then later on I will share with you. Both this activity during the risk analysis would be performed by auditor. Okay. Even this you can apply with respect to your own organization also. Because without performing the vulnerability test, and right now I'm only concerned about the network. And again, you have to perform different vulnerability test with respect to intra-network, different vulnerability test with respect to extra-network, different vulnerability test with respect to internet. Okay. Similarly, you have to perform the threat modeling, and then the solution would be in the form of the risk respond. Okay. And solution with respect to the risk is always chartered accountant and auditor with respect. Whenever think about the security, then chartered accountant and auditor always provide the solution only in one form, that is CONTROL, that is control. Okay. And now whenever we'll think about the control, please have a look. Whenever we'll think about the control, those which are the security measure with respect to the network. Now the first one is network segmentation. Now the manner, I hope all of you would agree with me, especially as a professional chartered accountant, as a professional auditor, the manner in which we advise to any business organization to perform segmentation or the division means the whole business organization would be classified into n number of the small units. Like, for example, there is a dedicated purchase department, there is a dedicated procurement department, there is a dedicated finance department, there is a dedicated sales, which technically is known as the functional unit or the processing unit. And again, with respect to each and every processing unit, we further perform further subdivision. Now, why we perform this segmentation? Because this is nothing, but this is a one type of a preventive measure. This is a one type of a preventive control. The same thing with respect to the network also. It is again advisable if the size of the organization is huge, then perform the network segmentation. And this network segmentation is basically a type of a logical control. Okay. And this network segmentation, even we also known as network zoning. Okay. And this network zoning, we also known as the subnetwork. Okay. So this is the first step. We'll discuss in detail, definitely sometime in future practically. Now the second type of a control to overcome the vulnerability, to overcome the threat associated with respect to the network. Because network is the big challenge with respect to any business organization anywhere in the world. And I hope if you just go through the data of last 6 months, only with respect to our country, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and if you just perform the analysis only the metros, top 10 metros, then each and every leading organization, both at the public sector level as well as the private sector, there is hardly any business organization whose network is not challenged. Okay. But no organization want to stop. They want to expand their size. So the big challenge is they want to expand their size, and parallel, they want to take the right measure. So it will create opportunity for people like you. Even you people can play the role of a consultant here. Now the second type of a control here, that is IP address policy. Now this IP address policy is again a one type of a logical control, and this is again a one type of a preventive measure. This is again a one type of a preventive control. And again, all of you would agree with me, especially as a professional chartered accountant, as a professional auditor. Although, along with the preventive control, corrective control is also. But preventive control is always advisable, and implementation of the preventive control is always the best choice with respect to the corrective control. Even the cost-wise also, as well as no corrective control till date with respect to any business organization after the detection of bugs, after the detection of the error, after the detection of any fraud would be considered as the effective control. So always we consider that preventive control would be the best control. Okay. So the second effective or the second most wanted is the IP address policy. Now this IP address policy, which is again, when you divided the network, you perform the subdivision, okay, then department wise, then according to the job role wise, okay. Now IP address, although is again available in two form, okay, it is available in dynamic IP address as well as static IP. Dynamic IP, which default DHCP automatically generate, means within the device, within your operating system, you will find dynamic host configuration protocol, which automatically generate the IP address whenever your device would come into any network. Okay, that default IP address is the dynamic IP address. Now, over the dynamic IP address, you and me, we don't have any control. So, if any hacker, any fraudster who is unauthorized user, who like to follow unethical practices, having a better technical skill, so that hacker or fraudster would able to exploit this. So it is always advisable that in place of dynamic IP address, always implement the static IP address. And a static IP address is again a one type of a logical control, and this is again a one type of a preventive control. So this is the second measure. Okay. And this is just right now I am only talking about the network. After the network, when I move to the next layer, please, this is just like a Abhimanyu Chakra view, means more and more effective control over the one control. When you implement the another control, then the organization would be highly secure. Okay. Then again, under the current scenario, there are two versions of IP address are available in the world. IP4 and IP6. Now the difference between IP4 and IP6 is the bandwidth transmission. Like if you observe when Nanda Saab was connected, if I hope many of you observed onto your devices, onto your machine, it was giving the message that Nanda Saab was connected with the low bandwidth network. I hope all of you observed that message onto your screen also. So this again going to become the challenge, because under the current scenario, organizations want to transmit the huge volume of the data 24/7. Now, when the volume of the data is huge, so organization concerned about the bandwidth. Okay, so solution of this is migration from 4 to 6. Okay, because the bits transmission would be much better. 32 to 128 here. So there is a huge, okay, although at this moment there are only few organizations successfully implemented, but this is the future. In upcoming days you will find, because now we are migrating from 4G to the 5G, and upcoming days even planning for the 6G. So 4G or 6G is nothing. Similarly here, IP4 and IP6 is nothing. This is concerned with the bandwidth. Okay. But to take the security step, here you have to define the customized static IP. Now afterwards, the next control with respect to the network, which I am 100% sure most of you default, I hope so, are working under this environment, as well as many of you already implemented with respect to your organizations also, and many of you are quite familiar. Like whenever we'll think about the network security control, then default will think about the firewall. Okay, now firewall, although this option is available within your operating system also, whether it is Windows operating system, whether it is Apple Macintosh, okay, whether it is Linux, okay, you name it, when it is Unix, in each and every operating system, this option is available even into the antivirus also. But it is always advisable, especially for the big organization, especially when the size of the organization is above certain number of heads. Means minimum, if suppose, according to me, if 50 plus under the current scenario, earlier 100 plus, but today, considering the sensitivity of the business organization and sensitivity of the data, I will advise if organization size is 50 plus, they should go for firewall in the form of the hardware. Okay. Then along with this, hardware plus software. So now here, firewall, although I hope all of you would agree with me, firewall is only concerned about to control the network traffic which is coming from outside, and network traffic which is going from inside. That is the outgoing traffic and ingoing, that is outgoing and incoming. Okay, so basically the firewall we implement between untrusted network which is outside our territory and between the trusted network. Okay, but within the organization also, like if 50 users are working, 100 users are working, now the task performed by the different user would be different, job role would be different. It is not necessary, because each and every business organization they concern about, whenever we'll think about the information security, then each and every organization concern about always 3 character CIA, that is confidentiality, integrity and availability. Okay, now to maintain high level of confidentiality, okay, it is always advisable after the installation of firewall. Okay, because there is no mean of that firewall if you simply purchase or simply you install without implementing the proper policy. And again, from chartered accountant point of view, from auditor point of view, all of you would agree with me. There is no mean, no existence of any control without policy. Because whenever we'll perform the control assessment, then strength of the control is always dependent on to the type of the policy. Okay, that's why it is always advisable that whenever we'll perform the changes into the structure of the business organization parallel, we always upgrade the control, and parallel, we always upgrade the policy. That's why periodically we must to review the control and the policy. Okay. So with respect to the incoming traffic and with respect to outgoing traffic, always it is advisable to implement customized IP address policy with respect to the firewall. Okay, so firewall is in the form of the physical control and logical control. And now there is one more thing. Please kindly pay attention. Now, if you are implementing firewall in the form of the hardware, so there is an investment is required. So it is not necessary that each and every business organization having the capacity to invest with respect to the security, to invest with respect to the control in the same manner. Okay, because like I mentioned, whenever you perform the risk analysis, so at that time you have to check the risk appetite, you have to check the risk tolerance level of each and every business organization. And according to the risk appetite and risk tolerance level of the business organization, you have to advise the best control and the best policy. Because you and me, we have not to prove our expertise. We have to accommodate the client and provide the best solution. Now, after the firewall, the next solution at the network security level is the proxy server. Okay. Now, this proxy server, like I'm giving you, if time will allow, we are using the different server like the database server, web server, application server. Okay. And those are the valuable asset for any business organization. Okay. And amongst all this also, database server, web server, and application server, database server is the most valuable asset. So to provide the maximum protection to the database server, in between the database server and between the end user, it is always advisable that along with the firewall, along with the customized IP address policy, that is a static IP address policy, along with the network segmentation, if the size of the organization is huge, please, again and again, I'm using the term, all these controls you have to advise, you have to implement according to the size of the business organization. Okay. That's why the risk assessment is the most important part from the auditor, from the chartered accountant point of view. So now there is additional step we take, that is the proxy server. Okay, means along with the real database server, along with the real web server, along with the real application server, we introduce the one fictitious server. Okay, so whenever relevant user perform the transaction, so that relevant user, in place of communicating directly with the database server, or directly communicating with the web server or application server, communicate with this proxy server. Although that relevant user would remain in this impression that he or she is dealing or performing the transaction with the real server, but through this proxy server, we provide the protection to the real server. Okay, so these are the some fundamental security measure with respect to the network security. Okay, and which we consider as a network security control with respect to information system. Now, after this, second level of the second type of a challenge with respect to information system security is the system level security. Now, whenever we use the term system level, so system contains the two parts. Number one, hardware, and number two is the software. Okay, like I mentioned at the beginning, data is the lifeline and technology is the driver. Okay, so whenever we use the term technology, so with respect to the technology, under the IS and IT infrastructure, we are using three things. Number one, network. Number two, hardware. And number third, software. Okay. Now, after implementing the effective controls, after taking the effective security measure with respect to the network, second challenge, second layer is the hardware level. Okay. Now, within the organization, again, according to the, depend on to the size, depend on to the type of the business organization, depend on to the capacity, or depend on to the infrastructure which organization has implemented. If organization having a dedicated database server, that database server maybe is simply if suppose I'm considering a small business organization, SME or MSME, which almost all of you interacted almost daily basis. Now, definitely you will find one dedicated tele server. Not that tele server would be considered as a one type of a database server. Okay. Now, if that tele server is maintaining or managing each and every piece of the data, because each and every organization, they don't have the capacity to implement SAP. Okay. Because to implement the SAP, again, organization having the huge turnover. I hope all of you would agree with me. Okay. And to implement the single module of SAP, there is a huge investment is required, which won't come under the capacity. But even the small organizations also, those which even working with the small IS and IT infrastructure, even when they are working with the tele environment also, they also consider about to take the right security measure. Because even for a small business organization, their tele server is their valuable asset, because that tele server maintain their each and every piece of data which they are generating within the organization, as well as whatever the transactions are happening with respect to that business organization. Okay. Now that server is a physical entity. Okay. That server is a physical entity. It is not necessary that each and every even internal user having the privilege to directly deal, to directly communicate with the server. Users means organization concerned about CIA. And I hope all of you would agree with me that ERP strictly follow the punchline that right information, right user at the right time. And ERP always work on to the one punchline, that is the JIT, that is the just in time. Now organization want to serve the data according to the level of the user, as per the user need, as per the user requirement. But it is not necessary that each and every end user, that end user, which even we also known as application user, that each and every end user having the privilege to directly communicate with each and every hardware. Okay, that hardware may be a database server, that hardware may be a web server, that hardware may be application server, that hardware may be data warehousing server, that hardware is in the form of the different switches, that hardware in the form of the n number of different, like the modem, routers, which technically we known as the gateway, bridges. Okay. So each and every stakeholder don't have the privilege to perform transaction directly or to perform the troubleshooting with respect to the hardware. Now to take the right security measure here at the hardware level, again we implement, which come at the system level, again to implement the effective control. Those control are in the form of the biometric. And at this moment we consider that biometric controls excuse me, are the most effective control. Those biometric controls we implement in the form of the facial recognition. Those biometric controls we implement in the form of the palm or the finger or the thumb. Okay. Then after this, access level control here. Okay. Then along with this, here we implement antivirus also. Here we implement endpoint security, because when one device communicate with the another device, and if suppose one device contains some bugs or defect, okay, and when one device communicate with another device, then there is a high possibility that bug or defect would be transferred from one device to another device. Because under the current scenario, now, like just like the FASTag, even each and every business organization, they are keen to implement IoT, that is Internet of Things. So when one device automatically communicate, because here we are implementing the robotic process automation with respect to the ERP. So now when organizations over the ERP implementing the robotic process automation, along with the IoT, along with the AI, okay, so there is a high possibility if bug or defect would contain into the one device, into one machine, and if that device, that machine would communicate with another device or another machine, there is a high possibility that that bug or defect would be transferred, just like the COVID, from one person to another person. Okay. So how to take the right preventive measure or the right preventive security measure. So here, this is known as the endpoint security. Okay. And here we implement the biometrics. Here we implement the best antivirus. So now here the challenge, which antivirus is the best antivirus? Now please kindly concentrate. Firewall we always implement with respect to the network security control. And antivirus always we implement with respect to the system level security, because the antivirus which I am using into my laptop, antivirus which I implemented within my organization, that antivirus unable to provide protection to any other business associate. So antivirus is always at the system level control. Okay. Now, along with this, the second level, like along with the hardware, the second entity at the system level is the software. Okay. And whenever we'll think about the software, just give me a moment. Now, whenever we'll think about the software, so broadly, we are using two types of software. Number one, that is system level software. Number two, that is application level software. Okay. Application level software, like for example, almost daily basis, all of you perform huge transaction using the Excel. You perform the huge transaction using the Tally. You perform the huge transaction using the Finacle. You perform the huge transaction using n number of different type of customized ERP, even the GST. So all this would come under the category of application software. I hope all of you would agree with me. Even SAP is a one type of a application level software. Excel is a one type of application level software. Some are special purpose, some are general purpose. Okay. Now to avail the different type of services from the hardware at the software level, in between the hardware and the application software, there is a one backbone which acting like a bridge, which acting like a glue. Okay. Which almost all of you are aware of, acting like an interface, which is known as the backbone of any computing device or any computing machine. And without that particular software, we are unable to communicate with any device, any machine, which is known as the operating system. And please, people pay, even the many of the professionals I observe globally, they pay least attention whenever they perform the selection of the operating system. But the selection of the operating system play a very, very important role with respect to the entire information security. Okay, like if your machine is a server, then it is always advisable that in place of using, because into the server, and again, if it is a database server, then default you are keeping your confidential data. Okay, then default that machine would require the maximum security, and the another machine through which the end user, that is the client, that client again may be internal user, that client may be external user, that client may be business associate, those who are either retrieving or posting the data. Okay, so now there are two machines are available. One is the client machine, another is the server machine. And again, I hope all of you would agree with me. With respect to the client machine, for any business organization, server machine would be the most valuable asset. Okay, so the type of operating system which going to be implement with respect to the server, and the type of operating system which going to implement with respect to the client machine, both would be at the different level. So now the selection of this would play an important role. And here, people like you, when you're going to perform the risk assessment and risk analysis, especially with respect to the hardware and software level, and according to the type of the data which organization going to transport, which organization going to generate, which organization like to procure, according to that, you have to advise which operating system is the best, whether they should go for the Windows server, whether they should go for Linux, whether they should go for the Unix. So which operating system is the best? And operating system selection is a one type of a information security control at the system level, which play a major role, and people play a least attention, and this is my humble request, this is the most important part, selection of the operating system. Okay. Now, after this, move to the next level. Okay. Many things we'll discuss in detail, definitely. Now, the third one, after the network security, after the hardware, after the system level system, there are two, hardware and software. The third one, that is the data security. And like, since beginning, like I mentioned, that data is the lifeline. Okay. And now I hope all of you would agree with me that any hacker, any fraudster, anywhere in the world, any unauthenticated person with respect to any business organization, whenever they challenge, whenever they breach or bypass the control with respect to, means whenever they follow the unethical practice, try to bypass the security control with respect to the network, try to bypass the security control with respect to the hardware and software. So no hacker, no fraudster having any interest into the access network of any business organization. They don't have any interest to access your and my hardware or software. Hacker or fraudster always having interest into the data. So data with respect to the network, with respect to the hardware, with respect to the software, I hope all of you would agree with me that data is the most valuable asset for any business organization. So now the type of the control or the type of the security measure which organization going to take with respect to the data security would be totally different than the type of the security measure which organization already implemented with respect to the network security, with respect to the system level security, with respect to the hardware and software. Now, with respect to the data security, again, organization concern about CIA, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That each and every authenticate user, each and every relevant user, each and every privileged user can able to access the relevant data. But now here, the most important thing, how to test, because when organizations are working under the hybrid mode, when organizations are working under the online environment, when the size of the organization is huge, so now the challenge is how to test the credibility of each and every user. In place of Ms. Tanu, in place of Saurabh, in place of Nanda Saab, even I can log in. But how the system would be able to identify that I am the relevant user? So under the current scenario, identification, authentication, and authorization are the three important things. And again, chartered accountant and auditor is the only person who is able to advise to any business organization that how they able to implement the best control to identify that whether the user who is knocking to your system, the user who is knocking to your server, user who want to retrieve the data, user who like to perform manipulation into the data, whether that user is relevant user or not. Okay. So here, whenever we'll think about identification, so now here access right or the privileges means that is access level control. Okay. So first of all, here again, to perform the data segmentation, because it is not necessary that whatever the data organization is generating, each and every data would be served, each and every data would be accessed by each and every internal or external user. Okay. And under the current scenario, I hope all of you would agree with me. Although data is the lifeline, like I mentioned number of times, but I am saying now no organization is working with the data. Now this data is converted into the big data. Okay. Now when data is converted into the big data, where we concern about the volume, where we concern about the velocity, where we concern about the variety, where we concern about the veracity, data is in the structured form, in the tabular form, data is in the form of the semi-structured form, data is in the form of TXT, data is in the form of PDF, data is in the form of CSV, data is in the form of JSON, data is in the form of XML, data is in the form of HTML. Okay. Then again, data is again organizations are generating via social media. So this data is in the form, data organizations are generating via CCTV, organizations are generating data via biometric device, which is in the form of image, audio, and video. And each and every data is a valuable asset for any business organization from the auditor point of view. And now, when this data is converted into database, so the manner I mentioned at the beginning, when data after processing converted into the information, so information going to become the more valuable asset for any business organization. Similarly, now, whenever we'll think about the data security and when data is converted into the database, so now this database would going to become a more valuable asset. And now here the challenges. Organizations are maintaining different type of the database server. Now this different database server are now number one, like two database server. I hope all of you are familiar. One is known as the current data, which is known as the operational data, which organization maintain into their database server. Okay. Then historical data organization maintain into their data warehouse. But under the current scenario, when data is converted into the big data, okay, when data is converted into the big data, and when organizations along with the physical server is storing their data into the cloud storage, okay, and again with respect to the cloud, some of the data they are keeping into the private cloud, some of the data they are keeping into the public cloud, some of the data they are keeping into the hybrid cloud. So now again going to become the challenge that which user can able to communicate with the physical database server, which user can able to communicate with the data warehouse, which user can able to communicate with the private database server. So now there are different type of the control, and please, data security is the most challenging. And now here we are using at this moment, which become the emerging area or area of specialization. And I hope many of you, those who really concerned about to expertise under the information system security, and under the information system security, although data security is a one type of a subset, but with respect to the data security, now we are using one of the most effective control, which is known as the blockchain. Okay. And now I hope with respect to the blockchain, all of you heard about hashing. Okay. And before hashing, I hope all of you are aware of encryption and decryption. And encryption and decryption, I hope whenever we use the term encryption and decryption, then default, we think about the cryptography. Default, we think about implementation of public key and a private key. And whenever we'll think about the hashing, then default, I hope all of you heard about SHA. Okay, default, you people think about that is implementation of hash function. Default, you people think about the hash value. Okay, so where to implement encryption, where to implement the cryptography, where even to implement hashing and even encryption together. Okay, that which is known as cryptography hashing. Okay, and this is again a logical control. Okay, and again there is a huge investment, there is a huge efforts are required. And now before going to implement any control with respect to the data, it is always advisable that you should perform the classification of the data. Now, whenever we'll think about the data classification, which is again a one type of a logical control, like every data won't be considered as the similar type or the similar category of the data. Some data would come under the category of standard data. Some data would come under the category of critical data. Some data would come under the category of highly critical data. So data which is highly critical, highly sensitive, data which is a sensitive, data which is a standard. So the type of control, those which going to implement with respect to the standard data, type of control which going to implement with respect to the critical data, type of control which going to implement with respect to highly critical data would be totally different. And please, I'm telling you, not only with respect to your own organization, even this become the area of specialization, even opportunity for people like you Even you can create along with whatever you are doing. Like many of you, I hope so, are expertise into direct taxation, indirect taxation, concrete audit, internal audit. But even if suppose you are really keen into this particular domain, this again become the area where only people like you can able to play the key role. Okay. Now, after the data security, the another one, that is the cloud security. Now, whenever we'll think about the cloud security, like a moment before I mentioned that organizations are now shifted from data to big data. Okay. So now the big challenge is how to procure, how to accommodate such a huge volume of the data. And again, from chartered accountant point of view, I'm using now the chartered accountant only, not only the auditor. Chartered accountant always concerned about, with respect to any business organization, that how to cut down input cost. And whenever we'll think about to cut down the input cost, then default we concern about CAPEX and OPEX, means how to cut down the CapEx and OPEX. And whenever we'll think about to cut down the CapEx and OPEX, that is capital expenditure and operational expenditure, then under the current scenario with respect to information security, and again, organization want to preserve each and every piece of data, as well as they want to implement effective control, as well as they want to cut down their input cost. So there is only one solution, that is the cloud. Okay. And this cloud, now cloud services would offer by Microsoft Azure, cloud services would offer by Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, cloud services would offer by IBM Cloud, cloud services would offer by Oracle Cloud. Okay. But which cloud is the best cloud? Okay. Then again, with respect to the cloud, now organizations are not only availing just to store their data. Okay. But even like most of the startup, and I hope many of you also, I'm 100% sure if individually I ask to many of you, so many of you are also, they are totally dependent onto the cloud infrastructure. And there is no harm, because at this moment, there is hardly any business organization which is not enabled with the cloud. Like many of the business organization, in place of creating their own network, in place of creating their own database server, in place of implementing their own web server, in place of implementing their own entire IS or IT infrastructure, they are availing all these services via cloud. And I hope all of you well versed. There are three types of the clouds: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. That is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and then software as a service. And at this moment, I hope those of you are extensively involved into the cloud computing. Maybe we'll discuss sometime later in detail. But at this moment, the maximum work is going on with respect to the SaaS. Okay. After the SaaS, the next one is IaaS, and the number third is PaaS. Okay. But now, which cloud infrastructure is advisable for which business organization? Then again, you have to perform the different level of vulnerability test. You have to perform vulnerability test with respect to AWS, vulnerability test with respect to, because like I mentioned, organizations are generating the critical data, organizations are generating highly critical data. Now, which data to keep into the physical server, which data to keep into the cloud storage, okay, and which services would be accessed by which level of user up to what, okay. So now, with respect to the cloud security, all the cloud services would provided by a third-party service provider. And now again, there is one more challenge. Although via cloud, organization can able to cut down their capital expenditure and their operational cost, that is operational expenditure, but the level of the risk would be maximum. So the type of the control which we need or required to maintain the high level of security with respect to the cloud infrastructure would be totally different than the type of the control those which going to implement with respect to the physical data, with respect to the ERP, because now maximum ERPs, I hope, like those of you are using the SAP, now even SAP is again full-fledged, is available cloud enabled. So many of the business organization, those which earlier unable to implement SAP in the physical form, now via cloud, because under the cloud, SAP services would offer by a third-party service provider, one third-party service provider having the infrastructure in Hyderabad, having infrastructure in Pune, okay, and the organization which is availing the services, that organization exists into the Noida, that organization exists into the Gurgaon. So how to implement the effective measure? So this is again the big challenge with respect to the information security. Now, after this, the next one, like whenever we'll think about the database. So database, like till date, all of you are aware of that database is always represented by the tabular form. Okay, although, and whenever we'll think about the database, then database understood only one language, that is the SQL. Okay. So now end user, whether it is a banker, whether it is a auditor, okay, how they able to communicate? So end user always communicate with the database using the different type of application, and those applications are either web-based, those applications are either in the form of the mobile-based, and with respect to the mobile, which commonly we known as the apps. Apps are basically technically API, that is application programming interface. Okay, even like at this moment, you and me, we are connected via Zoom app. Now, Zoom app is a third-party service provider with respect to the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. I hope all of you would agree with me. Okay, so you and me are communicating via API, but you and me, we don't have any control to communicate with the database server. Okay, so now end user always communicate with any database server, with any IS or IT infrastructure with respect to any business organization via API. And under the current scenario, like I mentioned at the beginning, that there are three types of activities we perform with respect to the system, that is input, process, and output. So via API, we input the data, API hold the data, API process the data, API on behalf of end user communicate with the database server, okay, collect the data in the form of the respond, in the form of the solution. So now we need or require the effective control even at the API level. And now to provide the flexibility to the APIs, now we migrated. Even organizations are using different environment of API. Some APIs are web-based, some APIs are web-based means web application. Some APIs are mobile-based. So the type of control which we need or required with respect to mobile app, the type of control which we need or required with respect to the web application would be totally different. And this again become a challenging task, because any hacker, any fraudster, any unauthenticated person after the network, and usually at the beginning enter via API. So it is always advisable to implement the effective API level control. Okay, I'm just giving you the touch only, not at this moment. And here again, we concern about identification, authentication, and authorization, which from in terms of the layman, I hope all of you would agree, username, password, okay, CAPTCHA, OTP, okay, like for example, login password, transaction password at the banking, OTP, all these are basically at the user level, API level controls, okay, and all this now even according to RBI, new guidelines, according to IRDA, according to CCI, according to NEFRA, it is always advisable that with respect to each and every API, minimum implement two-factor control, which is known as multi-factor. Okay. And again, if you are processing sensitive data, so it is again advisable that on regular basis with respect to API, you revise your policy. So this again become a challenging task for most of the business organization, because they won't pay the regular attention. So not only with respect to your own organization, I hope many of you, those who already having the good IS or IT infrastructure, you should implement all this with respect to your own, but you are providing or offering, like as a chartered accountant, as an auditor, you always offering the services to your client. So with every meeting, if you advise a single valuable tip to your client and charge for that, then there is no mind. Even you can generate the good revenue for yourself with every new meeting. So after this, now the another area which become the area of specialization. And now, especially in last 2 years, almost daily basis, you heard about this term, which even many of the chartered accountant are keen to expertise, known as cyber security. Now, this cyber security is a one subset of information system security. So let me use one version. If anybody means anybody is become a subject matter expert into information system security, then default he or she become the cyber security expert. But every cyber security expert, we won't consider that he or she is a information system security expert. Okay, person is able to do ERP audit. That doesn't mean that person is a cyber expert also. Please, there are different things here. But cyber security is just one subset. And whenever we'll think about the cyber security, we concern about three things only. That is system level security, network level security, and then data level security. Okay, means whenever the data would be accessed, whenever any device would be accessed, so at that time we concern about that only authenticate user, only privileged user, okay, and in ethical form user can able to access, okay. Means user having a very good high technical skill, but many times what happen, people like to misuse their technical skill, and this again become a big challenge for many of the business organization. That's why this cyber security again become the one of the most emerging area of specialization, even for person like a chartered accountant, even for any auditor. Okay, so now this is the broad picture of any information system security. I like to discuss many things, but Saurabh is again lined up. So before end, any query, Ms. Tanu, on behalf of all the audience, you free to bombard related to anything. But I hope I'm able to justify something, you gain something.
Definitely,
Yeah.
sir. There was the detailed expertise of yours being shared with us, and we all are enlightened to have your valuable insights with this topic.
No,
And
so kind of you.
we
So kind
learned
of you.
a lot from the expertise being given by you, especially in relation to how the data converts into information. And it's not data, but the processed data that is more important to the organization. That is, information has to be preserved. We have some queries lined up for you, sir. If you permit, we would like
Yeah,
to.
please. It's
It's of
yeah.
C.K. Rajkumar Manglik, sir, from Gurgaon. He is asking from you that your take on role of AI in information system security in times to come.
Lovely. I'm almost delivered. Now, artificial intelligence, we are using in two form. Number one, even in three form. Number one, whenever and wherever we are using the term big data analytics. So there we are using, along with the artificial intelligence, the next level of the artificial intelligence, that is the machine learning. And now we reach to the next level. That is NLP also, that is natural language processing. And now we reach to the next level, that is generative AI. Okay. And implementation of generative AI is ChatGPT. Okay. And DALE. There are many more applications are there. But now, whenever we'll think about information security, now under the current scenario, organizations now more concerned about to perform their repetitive business task robotic. So there, we need or required artificial intelligence means we want to create one automated application which 24 by 7, 365 days on behalf of any human being perform the monitoring of the task. Okay. And that application, robotic application, which is purely AI enabled, which acting like a control. Okay. That application is thoroughly educated about the compliance, also about the laws. Okay. That whenever the transaction perform, then those transactions are strictly according to the norms defined accordingly, RBI, accordingly IRDA, according to CCI, okay, according to NAFRA, okay. And if suppose anybody goes, even then automatically that AI would alert, would warn, okay. So this, through this AI, even we can take the preventive measures. So according to me, there is a plenty of role. If you people are keen, really, I will invite in some of the projects. You people can play the key role because application would be designed, developed by hardcore IT professional, but you people can transfer the knowledge. Like data, when we process, convert it into the information, and through information we generate the knowledge, and knowledge would be converted into the wisdom. So here you people can play the role with respect to the AI here. Yes, Ms. Tanu, any more query? Yeah, I hope.
Yes, sir. The era of the PO that we are living in, that is knowledge process outsourcing. And I would ask for the visitors to have their any queries, any more queries from the visitors are welcomed by us. No, sir. I think there are no queries from the side of the visitors.
No problem. Saurabh is ready, just like a Virat Kohli, to play the next inning.
Definitely. We would like to express our thankfulness for sharing your valuable assistance and knowledge with all of us. And with these words, we would like to welcome Dr. Saurabh Maheshwari,
Thank you.
who is eagerly waiting for having his session with us.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. If you permit, I'll continue forward, and I request Suri sir to please get the screen off, sir, so that I can share.
Before proceeding, I would like to introduce the words of about Dr. Saurabh Maheshwari, sir. He is considered as the one of the reputed edupreneurs, educational strategists. He has been the national trainer and national awardee. Apart from these things, he is the author and poet. He has been the mentor to many of the startups. He is not only involved with professional achievements, but he has been the life coach and information system auditor. He has been one of the very famous data analysts and political researcher. And apart from these things, he have carried the reputation of being the academician. Currently, he is having the directorship of Wise Consultants. He is the independent external advisor to many of the schools and Career Point University, Poddar institutions, and many other Wise educational institutions. He is the director of business development at Saras 3D EdTech Private Limited. He has been the startup mentor at GST University, that is Atal Community Invention Center, and many of us are knowing about Sir already since he has been with ICAI for more than 11 years, who has carried out the batch of more than 200 and at 50 plus centers with around 11,000 information system auditors already being trained upon him. I welcome upon you, sir. Now the mic is handed over you for sharing your valuable insights with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nu. Again, thanks a lot for DA for inviting me for this session. It's always been a privilege to interact with chartered accountants. And under the aegis of DAP, under the leadership of Charanjot Nanda sir, I think as an institute, as a professionals, you are a big opportunity to grow on. As having a visionary leader, you know that how important the role of a leader is all about related to that, right? So looking forward for further more interactions with you. But before, let's begin with the topic. It was related to cyber security. It was related to IT and information system security. So to begin with, I'll let you know that, see, we are already a 75-year-old nation. Fine, technically it is 77 right now. We are heading towards being a 100-year-old institution. This journey of next 20-25 years will be carried over by digital era. It will be known as technological transformation of the entire world altogether. We all have seen during pandemic and post-pandemic, it's technology which is being interacting to all of us, which is being letting us connect. Fine. Today we are conducting these kind of sessions. Pre-pandemic, these sessions were actually not in trend, and we were not aligned to take such sessions on digital platforms. But today, I think professionals are more convenient and more linked to these platforms rather than physical interaction, because that creates a hurdle and this creates an opportunity for global interactive sessions and all. So let me tell you that, see, financial professionals, you know that finance is the backbone for any industry, any corporate, any body. You hold the responsibility, you hold the lifeline for all the corporate. So I think with the digital transformation happening in the country, you as a financial professional must be ready to deal with the roles and opportunities coming up in the next 20-25 years, right? So let's deep dive into the IT and cyber world, and let's see what are the options, opportunities available. And let me try to share my experiences with as a tech consultant to a lot of MSMEs and all. That will give you a clear insight that what organizations or companies are looking forward for, and what are the roles which are available for you as a chartered accountant to be playing as an IAS auditor. Now, technically speaking, for me, IAS auditor is slightly a terminology which should not be used right now. Right now, I expect chartered accountant to be a digital transformation consultant rather than just be an IAS auditor, because that creates a bigger aura, that gives you a better opportunity. IAS audit becomes a small part of it. So to begin with, let me just tell you that first, we are by default seeing as an a tech professional. Let me tell you that I have seen a big transformation in the entire world, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. I have been into this particular industry from last around almost 20 years. So first 15 years, whatever I have seen in the last 4-5 years, the transformation is multifold, the growth is multifast, and I think there is a lot more to come. Why I am saying so? Because we are by default the second largest online market in the world. Fine, we are having the cheapest data in the world. We have the fintech landscape, which is there in the country, is the fastest growing landscape again in the world. Now, again, why I'm saying so? Because you all know that the fact is last year we were the biggest digital financial transaction country. Fine, that shows that by default, the humongous size of the population and the trust which has been built up in the digital transaction by multiple governments, agencies, and corporate bodies and whatnot working in behind have created a new paradigm altogether. But all these things is not the whole story, because the whole story is what we have to look forward for it. It's not only that we are looking forward for the digital transformation era. Safe digital transformation is something which is required. Otherwise, what will happen is that we are heading up or heading out towards be a black hole. So to say so, let me tell you that we are by default moving in very fast in industry 5.0, which is mass customization, or known as cyber physical cognitive systems. So you have gradually moved from industry 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, and 4 to 5. This transformation is being very fast in last couple of decades or so, and that you can clearly see in the years which I have mentioned underneath. That first transformation took around 150 years, and last transformation, which is to be happening in by 2030, it's going to be take only 20 years. So with time to come up, technology is going to be the major driving force for it. Now, why I am talking all this? Because there are some facts and figures which will prove to that. But before all this, let me tell you that entire crux of my session will be based on something called, we are here as a financial professional, as a tech professional, we are here to find out the solutions for certain problems for the corporates. And let me tell you, problems are not existing today. Problem will come up in the future. That means we have to ready for the futures. And that can only be possible when you move out from just a financial professional to a fintech professional, from just an IAS auditor to a digital transformation consultant, and make sure that your knowledge or expertise should be supportive not only to your clients but also to the entire, fraternity or the entire population in the country, because everybody of you have some or the other key knowledge of financial side, and being a backbone of the industry, I think finance rolls it out. So be ready for finding out this particular solution. So there are certain facts and figures which will let you know that why I'm talking about digital transformation of the country. Today, we are generating 33 into 10 raised to the power 10 GB of data every day. Can you imagine the size I'm talking about? Have you ever thought of this size of data being generated in the country? And let me tell you, this particular data, this particular size was only 25 into 10 raised to the power 10 GB last year. Last year means I have compiled this data up till 2022 September. It was 25 into 10 raised to the power 10 GB, and 23 September it comes out to be 33 into 10 raised to the power 10 GB. So if this data is being generated, the word which has been said by Nanda sir and Suri sir was perfectly fine. The data is the new gold. Because then only we will be able to do data analytics. More the data means more of intelligence flowing all around the world. More of data means more of generative AI. More of data means more of accuracy in terms of whatever the relevance information we are getting from the different sources on the network. Apart from that, let me talk about next figure, which is just underneath that. In India, we are already 60% of the population is on internet. That is 800 million people are already using internet. That is again a big number. Fine. Now, two things which are related to the sessions we are talking about today. By 2025, the world cybercrime cost is going to be $10.5 trillion. Now, just mentioning this figure does not make a sense, but relating this figure to the Indian economy. So today, Indian economy is around $3.5 trillion. So 2 years down the line, the world cybercrime cost is going to be 3 times the Indian economy. Can you see the potential out there for both? For people who will create vulnerabilities and problems into the systems, and people who will find out solutions and put controls on the systems. Fine. So if there is a huge cost in cybercrime, I think parallel market lies with the control environment as well. So in totality, if I'll talk about, there is $21 trillion about to flow into the market in next 2 to 3 years. I think even 1% of that will be a fortune money for you all or for we all, right? So let's try to find out a place wherein you can fit yourself into the cybercrime market or cybersecurity market in a perfect manner. So rather than crime, I think security makes more sense to us, because we are not by default, by DNA, a negative individual. We are positive people, right? Apart from that, there is one more fact from typically Indian perspective. If you talk about what is the rise of cybercrime in India post 2019, that means I'm talking about post pandemic era. It is 300% rise. I think that number must be alarming to all of us. Fine. Almost everybody of us, if you agree to the fact that maybe Tanu ma'am or Suri sir, Nanda sir, and every delegates out there attending the session will be agree to the fact that some of the other relatives, friends, or connected people from us have faced certain problems in the cyber world. Maybe they have lost even a rupee also. That is also cybercrime. Fine. Their ID on Facebook is hacked. That is also cybercrime. Fine. Their individuality is being breached out in some other manner. That's a cybercrime. And there are certain cases which have been come up in last 3-4 months or so, which will create an hype for that. So I hope you have heard about AIIMS data being breached out. AIIMS Delhi, which is the #1 medical body in the country, governed by best of the best professionals, run by government itself. If the data and the security of that particular institution is being breached out, I think every other hospital or insurance company or a medical testing agencies and all are all vulnerable. I think you agree to the fact. So if that particular small size is being considered, let me just give you an aura. I hope Tanu ma'am will be able to figure it out. Ma'am, can you please randomly say that how many number of hospitals would be there in the country? Just a random number.
Around
Maybe 1 lakh?
Around 2,000 plus.
No, 2,000. Even in city like Delhi or Bangalore, there are more than 1,000 hospitals. So I'm talking about entire country. I believe more than 1 lakh hospitals are there. Small, medium-sized organizations and serving multiple medical services. I think 1 lakh more. So if every hospital or every medical body needs an IS auditor or a security advisor, I think the opportunity is already big enough. We are not having 1 lakh chartered accountants who are cyber certified, who are IS auditors and all, and we have 1 lakh opportunities lying in between, in eyes, in front of us. Because once the pioneer body is being hacked, I think almost everybody is vulnerable. So if you try to figure it out, try to find out a way in which you can put up the controls on hospital industry itself, I think every chartered accountant has a big opportunity to earn, to put the controls and to make sure the data and the other information which is lying out there must be safe enough. So it's just in hospital as an industry. Talk about another. I think the market, I'll showcase you how huge it is. Now, let me tell you what is the Indian scenario. Everybody of us might be from a small or mid-sized town, maybe grade A, grade B, grade C, or grade D towns. Fine. Look forward for bigger companies like Airtel, Reliance, or maybe like Baiju, fine, or MRF tires and all. All these big giants may look forward for cybersecurity from bigger clients, from bigger service providers like KPMG, EY, Deloitte, or Infosys or TCS and all. But let me ask, how many MSMEs will be able to approach these larger companies for their securities, for their audit, and for their compliances? I think no one, because the financial requirements of these companies is huge enough, and your capacities is not that much. You will not be able to justify their compliances, but at least you need these things. Cybersecurity is an important part for it. So let me again tell you, there are 6 million MSMEs as per ministry. That means around 6 crores. All these 6 crore MSMEs in next 5 years, 10 years down the line are looking forward for cybersecurity, or looking forward for digital transformation, are looking forward for involvement of technology in their business operations. Every client is an opportunity for you, because you by default, as of now, are more connected to MSMEs rather than large cap companies. Am I right? So in that case, you can find out this particular thing as an opportunity for you. 400 billion US dollars is going to be infused only in the Indian automation market by 2027. That means next 4 years down the line, you have 400 billion flowing into the market only for digital transformation. And these figures and facts are not being presented by me. I'm only a presenter. These facts and figures are available on Government of India websites as well. I will showcase you the relevance links also in my presentation itself, so that you can actually correlate. 5 trillion is going to be the Indian economy size, and we are by default fourth in the digital transformation. So guys, if you are still looking forward that let the time become when we will put our footprints into the digital market, I think you are late. You are already dreaming. It's a reality right now. 6 million MSMEs, 400 billion infused into the market. We are fourth largest, 300% rise in the cybercrime, $10.5 trillion cybercrime market. What else you need to pump up you to find out an opportunity into this particular field? I think if this is not sufficient, God can only help you out. Fine. Now, what is digital transformation, which I have just told you? Now, digital transformation is a 7-step process. Fine. I am involved into digital transformation of multiple educational bodies, because my entire expertise and involvement is into education industry, because based out at Kota, education is by default comes down to us. So when I look forward for digital transformation, I look forward for these 7 steps. And I believe as a chartered accountant or as a digital transformation consultant, there is an opportunity for you to put your footprints into almost all steps. Maybe not directly into coding, maybe not directly into chip development or device, but when it comes to development of strategy, development of culture, seeking out partners and expertise. Now, as Suri sir was already saying, I'm just putting up an example. Suri sir was saying, suppose there is a cloud related ecosystems. Now, there are multiple cloud service providers. I hope you are aware about Microsoft, Google, Amazon, fine. And Alibaba is also a cloud service provider. Apart from that, there are multiple small cloud service providers also, which are providing. Now, if I'll ask a small question with one of you chartered accountant, that suppose your client is looking forward for migrating their data to cloud or their operations to cloud, and they ask you a simple question that, sir, please tell me which is the best cloud aligned to the requirements of mine. Now it becomes a challenge for you, because as of now you have no parameters. You have not evaluated the cloud service providers on different parameters and have come up with an opinion that in certain situations option A is good, maybe a Google. In certain operations, option 2, maybe Azure is good. Option 3 is good in certain situations. It is there because everybody comes up with their own specializations. If you compare them up, everybody has something other to be given to the market. But to ask you, you become blank. So that means for seeking out the partners and evaluating multiple service providers in the market, I think it's a big opportunity. Even if you come up as a cloud consultant to your own, within your own city, I think almost second MSME you will approach, will look forward for cloud service provider. You can charge a small penny. You can be a continuity engagement with them. It's not only tying up with the right cloud service provider. It's also data migration. It's also putting up the security thereafter. It's also putting up the compliances thereafter. Maybe training also to the staff and employees. And it becomes a continuous effort because organization requirements are not going to end up at a particular pace. They're going to exceed. So you have to extend your expertise also. So I feel like even 5 MSMEs aligned to one of the chartered accountant, it's decent enough to survive you for next 10 years. So look forward for these opportunities. These are the 7 steps looking forward for digital transformation. I can discuss on hours and hours on each of these because I'm involving into all those. But you have to come up with your queries, your requests, or maybe your doubts so that we can actually align to your problems in a very specific manner. So from first step, that is aligning to why we need to go for digital transformation, to second step, like preparing the culture and change environment in the company, to look forward for small but strategic moves. Fine. Let me quote one other example. You all have seen banking, IRCTC being transformed in a gradual manner. Have you seen banking systems to get automatic overnightly? No. You have seen small steps, like it was just an ATM machine initially. Then they have gone for NEFT, RTGS. Today, NEFT, RTGS are online. Tomorrow, they may be putting up the check-related transactions also in the real-time basis rather than 2 or 3 day delay. So it's a gradual process. So still start small steps. And those small must be sustainable steps so that people should have trust on your digital transformation. Otherwise, the wrong step is what people get distrust to, that you are not capable, you are not acquainted, you are not expertise into digital transformation. So let's leave it apart. You all have seen in last around 10, 20 years or so, there are many organizations who have only come up because of their tech expertise. And there are many who have gone out of the market only because the technological acceptance of those organizations were almost at negligible levels. Fine. You all have seen multiple companies. Then map out the technology. What is the technology? Which areas to be infused in? What are the risks? What are the controls? And for all this, you have to seek out the partners, because one particular person or one particular organization will not be able to serve the entire need of an organization. So seek out the partners. That means a software developer or a cloud service provider or a security implementer or a control developer, all those things. Then gather feedbacks, because employees are the one who are going to use it. So getting up the feedbacks and making sure your systems is being upgraded on the regular basis and keep on giving the better services to your client, to your customer, is also very important. You all have seen COVID 2019 framework I'm talking about, in which it's talk about end-to-end implementation. It talks about gradual expansion into certain way so that all expertise, all areas of IT or all areas of business should be covered up in the single umbrella of technology. Then obviously scale for transformation. Today you have implemented into a particular bank branch. Tomorrow the bank will open up 100 branches. That means your area will increase. A company which have been digitally transformed today, maybe from 100-ton capacity of production, tomorrow they may go to 1,000-ton capacity. So their expansion is still required in the same fashion. So I think all 7 areas, I don't feel there is anything which I have talked about related to coding, related to development of a server or configuration of server. No, it's all related to aligning the business needs with the technology, aligning the technological solutions with the business, and making sure both are sustainable and growing together. That is what I'm looking forward for, a digital transformation consultant as a chartered accountant. Now, let me tell you what are the technologies which are going to change the entire scenario in next 10 years or so. There are only 8 technologies. There is no 9th technology. Fine. I think Suri sir has already stated about these technologies in some or the other manner, but I'll just putting up into a systematic format for you. Artificial intelligence, robotics, or cobotics. Actually, that's a new terminology. You might not be aware of it. Actually, gradually what has happened is that the term robotics have created a challenge into the mind. Fine, maybe you are also threatened by the word that robots can come into play and take our jobs. Fine, so to eliminate that particular threat, a new terminology known as cobotics have recently been coined in the IT market, which says that it is collaborative robot. It's not robot which is going to replace you. It's a collaborative robot which is going to work in collaboration with you to get the work done. And actually, it's a collaborative robot only. It's not robot. We are not here to replace. Blockchain, Internet of Things, data sciences, cloud computing, even AR, VR, and mixed reality related thing which is leading towards metaverse is something which is very weak. And yes, cyber security and cyber forensics. So these are the 8 technologies or 8 areas wherein entire digital transformation will be responsible, will be dependent on. And these technologies are here to stay for at least next 2 decades. So if you are aligning with any of the technologies, even with 1% of your expertise, I think next 2 decades, you have a sufficient financial, sufficient work, sufficient engagement into the professional fields, right? Now, looking forward for this, let me give you certain facts and figures also, which will even elaborate your area. And these data, these facts which are in front of you are being taken from Statistica, which is a globally recognized data body. And every data of there is trusted by almost all governments. So let me tell you what is the global AI market. Can you figure it out? It was just 142 billion US dollars in 2022. It's going to rise by around $1,848 billion in 2030. That means 2 years back, we are almost heading towards 24. So I'm talking about 2 years back, 142. And 6 years down the line, it's going to be 150% increase. Don't you feel the size is good enough to involve yourself into the field of AI? And AI does not only mean ChatGPT. I'll tell ChatGPT is the level 1 of the generative AI tools which have come up. There is a lot more things to come up. Let me give you one particular example or the project which I'm involved in, and I think that is completely aligned to the financial professionals. I'm sure that you might be related or interested into getting your footprints into that. How many of you, although I cannot see that, but through Tanu ma'am I can see, how many of you are interested into algo trading or have actually witnessed something or interested something into algo trading? Now, algo trading is something in which obviously as a chartered accountant, you have to play a bigger role because expertise have to come down from you. As a technical person, I can only develop an algorithm. But what is P ratio? What is whatever terminology used in financial accounting, costing and all, I am not acquainted with that being an engineer. But we are developing something with our team of IIT Bombay professionals and friends and all. We are developing and it's almost into the beta testing mode. We are releasing this version by December. We are doing algo trading for mid cap and small cap companies into a manner wherein we can actually develop those companies or grow those companies as per their capacities. Although you know that mid cap and large cap are always driven by market. Fine, they are not having their own withstand, they are not holding in the market. So we are developing that algorithm which can actually develop that. And let me tell you, SEBI permits 50% of the algo trading, whereas as of now in India it's only 30%. That means 20% gap is there, and this 20% gap can only be fulfilled where you as a chartered accountant, me as an IT professional can club up together and implement that algo trading manner which will generate money for you, money for me and money for your MSME, which are listed clients in the share market as a mid cap or small cap companies. So that is huge, and we are generating data analytics and we are putting up AI algorithm into that, so that system will itself decide rather than we putting up the trade figures and facts and all that. System will itself decide which particular company has good financial, good reputation, good track because of their track records and all, because of their tie-ups and further future sales and all, so they can actually automatically trade it. We as a person are just to visualize that nothing is going wrong. This is what the future I am looking forward for. So you as a person will give your expertise. I as a person will keep my expertise and we'll develop something which is tech. And this tech thing needs to be upgraded every day. So algo trading means algorithm cannot be developed for once and used for lifetime. We have to upgrade the algorithm every 15th day. That means those 15th that we have to analyze ourselves to upgrade the algorithm to a version next. That means we are not keeping ourselves away from the business. We are not sitting idle. We are putting up our efforts into developing more better tools for the market rather than doing repetitive clerical tasks, which I think you all must be frustrated during your tax filing days like March end or September end. You all are burdened with tasks, but those tasks are majorly repetitive. If you believe that there is some automated tool which can actually remove your repetitive task and keep you more of intellectual, I think you all will be love to have that in your office. True. So let's collaborative develop those tools. We have the expertise of development, but we do not have domain expertise what you have. Right? Anyway, so that was the global AI market. Let me give you the global robotics market as well. It is again going to rise too much from 2022 to 2023. You can see the rise. It's almost 3 times. Fine. Now, why I'm showing all these figures to, let me also be clear. I'm not showing because I want you to be a robotics person or an AI person. I want you that if the company's corporate body market is being growing so fast, that means threat is going to increase in the same exponential manner. And if threats going to increase, if the attacks are going to increase, I think there's an equal opportunity for security professionals, right? So this is the global robotics market. Again, the facts and figures and data is from Statistica. Then global AR/VR market again going to rise from 21.7 to 248 in next around 6 years or so. Fine. So this creates a vision in your mindset that yes, technology is here to stay. Every organization is looking for the involvement of technology, but yes, proportionally threats are going to increase. So let me give you a threat related figure also, because we are talking about cyber security. So just a slide for you. Only Indian, not global. Mark my words. We are talking about only Indian cyber security market, and I'm talking about 3 years back, or sorry, 4 years back and 4 years down the line. So from 140 billion INR, it's going to go 350 billion INR in next 3-4 years down the line. So if you still are aligned to the fact that yes, technology is not going to only develop technological market, it's also going to develop the cyber security and control market proportionally, wherein without IS auditor, without a chartered accountant finding out the vulnerabilities into the systems, it's not possible for a technical person like me to implement the controls. So it has to be a collective effort. So just by looking the Indian scenario for next 3 years, 4 years down the line, I think you can equally raise a question that, sir, please let me know how to get into this immediately. Fine, because that has to be the speed of implementation. If you still think, you are lagging behind. Now, for proving this, IIT Delhi has conducted a survey in India for large cap, mid cap, and small cap companies. And this survey was conducted with CXOs, CEOs, CTOs, CHROs who are actually working on technological systems, who are actually developing and implementing these areas. 96%, see the figure, 96% of the respondent we have interacted. And let me tell you, we have interacted 10,000. We means I am being a part of IIT Delhi fraternity. We have conducted this. We have interacted 10,000 CXO CEOs. Out of those 10,000, 96% have said we have witnessed one breach in last 1 year. One breach. 57% said the breach was 3 or more breaches. 33% says that because of the breaches, their work has stopped. The operational disruptions was there. And 84% have agreed that hybrid working have been a primary reason for increase of breaches because security control on the devices has gone out of their control. So with the world going towards hybrid working, with we are looking forward for more of tech involvement into our life, I think these numbers will be sufficiently supportive to what I am saying. There are more facts and figures for you. Have it. What's happening when we have interacted with these people? 0% says there is no increase in budget from the cybersecurity side. 0%. That means everybody said there is an increase. Now 10% increase. Sorry, 10% said it is flat. That is, they are remaining the same. 68% they have increased the budget by 10%. Can you see the figure 68%? Which is increased by 10%. Sorry. Let me open up my pen for you all. Okay. 68%. And 22% said the budget was more than 10%. That means if you align both of these things, that is around 90% of the people says they have increased the budget for cybersecurity, whether it is 10%, 20%, but cybersecurity is a concern for all of them. Right? And this is not only the Indian scenario. When you look forward for different bodies like North America, right, like JAPAC, like Latin America, fine. You can see that almost everybody is looking forward for it. And when 5G is about to come up, when the internet speed is about to increase, a lot of more people will be doing a lot of financial transactions and data transactions online. I think the problem is still to come up in the bigger manner. We are still at a very premature level of problems. Right? And in 2023, when the survey was conducted, up till September, I say, data security, cloud security, and IoT security. These were the top 3 challenges which almost everybody has said. And data security, as I have already said, almost every organization is facing a breach of that. You have already seen Unacademy as a company, Sun Pharma, AIMS, there are a lot of banks. Fine. Even Facebook and Amazon have accepted that yes, there was a breach of data from their end as well, but they cannot do anything for that because controls are lacking in the country. So what are the major cybersecurity issues in the world? The list is by no means complete. I put in a few words out here just to tell you that there are new and new terminologies coming up almost every day. And I'm sure that there are few terms out here which you have never heard of also. Right? Correct, Tanu ma'am, have you heard all of these terminologies or few are still missing from you? You become a representative for all the audience.
On my list as well.
Yeah, so if you are looking forward for if you put up a query from somebody else's side or maybe from your side, then if you are interested into understanding any of these breaches slightly, I would be happy to discuss. Otherwise, let me tell you, this list is going to increase and new terms which are actually weird enough to even listen also are going to increase this list. Any
Definitely.
point which you need to discuss, ma'am?
The words relating to this so that a better understanding can be developed.
Yes. So I still believe that you should not stop your learning at any point of time. Cyber security is an ever growing issue. Cyber threats are ever growing. You might have heard about malware, phishing, spoofing, social engineering from your DISA course as well. But like crypto jacking, insider attack, juice jacking, this is something which is completely new terminology.
Yes.
So make
Yes, sir.
sure you should look forward for all these terms. If not detail, you should be at least aware about what is the problem. We can talk about solution, but if the problem is not known, solution become completely vague for you. Problem must be known to you all.
Yes.
These problems are slightly new, may not be directly been affecting to your small or mid-sized clients which you are dealing in market today. But tomorrow when they go for digital transformation as an entire work, I think these terminologies are going to be affecting them as well. And so you have to find out a solution for them. So some of your client may come up and say that, sir, I am facing a juice jacking attack. You need to understand that what is juice jacking so that you can find out a solution or you can sell them the right solution accordingly, right?
Definitely.
So as
sir.
I've already told you, we have conducted this particular survey. It was 10,000 CXOs, CEOs, CTOs and all. And there are a few more findings connected to that. Let me tell you. Stronger demand. 64% of the CXO, CTOs say they are looking forward for more technical skill people rather than just a domain expert. That means if you may be very good in accounting, you may be very good in costing, but if you are lacking into tech skills, you are less employable, less acceptable in the market. So 64% of the people says they are requiring people who are technically skills. 48% of the people say that increase expectations of skills and knowledge in the broader areas and they should be able to find out the integration to those. Today only I was taking in the morning a session of teachers who are looking forward for AI tools to enhance their teaching skills in Kota. Let me tell you, there are 400 teachers and almost everybody was thinking that technology is something which may replace their jobs. Fine, but I equipped them with right technological skills. And after my sessions, they said that, sir, now we are equipped enough and our job is safe for next 10 years. 10 साल बाद आपसे फिर मिलेंगे. Fine, I said that lot after 10 years, you have to meet me almost every 1 year so that your skills are going to be increased proportionally with the tools which are coming up in the market. Right? Now, let me tell you, when it comes to next 1 to 2 years, I'm talking about current scenarios first. Let's talk about next 1 to 2 years, what they have said, that auditing is going to be increasingly automated. 30% accepted that. Now, let me ask you, how many of you are actually doing automated auditing? I think very less. 28% say they need people who are actually related to data scientists because they must be able to visualize data, process data, project data into certain manner and then give certain important information out of data which is not identifiable directly. There will be a reduction in flattering the organization. 26% said supervision is going to be automated. That means supervision is not manual. They will be talking about real-time monitoring, real-time finding out exceptions and real-time monitoring of those. That means system will tell you what is the exception rather than you monitoring. System will tell you what are the flows. System will tell you what is the problem. You just have to pick whatever special solution for it. That means as an auditor, you are primarily finding out the problems in the institutions. Now, if those identification of problem as an auditor will be done by device, I think your professional opportunities are being taken by tech people. So look forward for that. Look forward for that. And let me tell you one more figure. You look forward for data before 2010 and after 2010. Before 2010, all new businesses were majorly started by chartered accountants. You can look forward for me by even Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla. You talk about Vakrangi computers and technologies, all are chartered accountants. But in last 10 years, you can see all new businesses are more started by technical people, IITians rather than chartered accountants. So that clearly shows the difference that you are losing your charm in the market. You are losing the grip of the market. Reason, you are not techie. So look forward for those opportunities. Next 3 year, 5 year down the line, the challenges are even bigger because AI will come into play. AI will look forward for analytics. AI will look forward for finding out the problems and issues. And companies are looking forward for full integration of AI. 24% said gradually they will be looking forward for full integration of AI in next 3 to 5 years. Now, if completely integration of AI will happen, what will CAs will do? Only those text filing, only signing up the documents and all? No. You have not done chartered accountancy as a course. You have not done DISA as a course just for signing. You have to involve yourself into technological transformation of the country. And what Nanda sir has rightly said was, without technology, it's going to be a nightmare. Let me tell you, 5 years, 10 years down the line, there is no opportunity for doing those regular traditional practices. Right. Few more figures for you. IAS auditor will be increasingly involved into major tech projects. 35% of the IAS auditor are brought in during the planning phase. Let me tell you, you have the bigger opportunity as an auditor, as a developer, because your involvement will start from the planning phase, whereas I as an engineer will come in the development phase. So 35% of the respondents says the IAS auditor is required from day one onwards. 44% says there will be a significant focus on tech-driven projects. 47% says IAS auditor will be significantly high requirements and high paying jobs in next 6 to 5 years. Because these companies will implement AI, data, robotic process automation, and all those things. That means today it was only an ATM machine which was disbursing cash. Today you'll have all ATM machines or all automated teller machines or all kiosks lying all around the market also, wherein rather than you choosing, they will be choosing the entire things for you. You will not have kiosks of MACD wherein you just stand in the queue and put up your orders. You'll have kiosks. You can just place your order, get the ticket, and your order will be delivered to your table. It will be no human involvement. And I have seen myself into my foreign trips that yes, this was what was the fact. There was no human to take my jobs or to take my orders. So automation is here to stay. IAS auditor with technical skills will be more in demand. Fine, have difficulty in recruiting IAS auditors. 67% says we want IAS auditors, but we are not able to find out IAS auditor with the required technological skills. There's a gap. 64% says auditors say the technical gap has at least a moderate impact on performing IT audits. So high degree of confidence is required. So 67, 64, that means 2/3 of the majority have faced a problem that not able to find out the right technical IAS auditors in their organizations, whether doing IAS audit or compliances or governance or controls. So equip yourself into these areas of typical securities, typical areas like data analytics, typical areas like knowledge sharing for development of AI. Right? So moving forward, I believe that there is a huge role you all have to play. The role includes you can be a digital transformation consultant. Fine, GRC consultant. You can be an MSME or RP expert. You can be an IoT expert. Fine, this is from digital transformation side. You can involve yourself as a data analytics, as a strategical financial angle, as a cloud implementation architect, or maybe as a person who can actually evaluate multiple vendors and suggest the right possible vendor for the solution your client is looking for. You can increase your capabilities in next 5 years, 10 years down the line and can be a AI and blockchain implementation person, which is what fintech I'm talking about. If any of you is still interested into looking for certain fintech related projects or have any idea in mind, let me tell you, I have worked with NITI Aayog as a startup mentor. So we can find out that synchronization as well. Fine. My current project, which I have already working into, which is, I have told you, beta version is about to release for algo trading. You can give your expertise, you can involve yourself, or you can be an end user as well. You can start using that from December or January onwards into your offices and can go for algo trading for your listed companies, maybe B or C grade companies, or maybe what you say mid cap or small cap companies. You can be an IAS auditor, cyber forensic expert. At the same time, you can be an ESG reviewer. ESG is altogether different area. We need a different session for this, but I'll give you a briefing of that. But I think I have already articulated a lot of roles, a lot of opportunities, a lot of areas wherein you can put your footprint into that. Right? Now, a specific question which chartered accountant always asks, sir, why me? Because I am a chartered accountant, I am a financial professional, I know accounting, costing, finance. Why technology? Point one, you know the business much closer than anybody else. You know the strategies of your clients much closer than anybody else. You know what they are planning in future, or you can be involved into planning of their future. If all these things are done by you, can you expect an engineer to do all this? Can you expect an engineer to be so close to an investor or a director of an organization? For sure, no. Second reason, guys, you know the compliances, you know the governance. So when you know the legal compliances from the corporate side, from the financial side, why not know the legal compliances from the IT side as well, from the tech side also? Why not Information Technology Act, Data Privacy Act, Data Protection Act, GDPR, or PCI DSS, or ISO, or COVID framework, 2019 framework. Why not? Why not? Why only talk about COVID 2019 framework as a topic in your DISA course? Why not implement COVID 2019 framework for the digital transformation? Why only talk about ISO 22301 as a BCP standard? Why not talk about what is the continuity standard of a company? What are the continuity requirements of a company? Whether the requirements are being met up as per ISO 22301 framework or not? If yes, certify yourself as an ISO 22301 auditor. Fine, you know statistic financials much better than me. Right? So you are a financial person, you know data, you know financials, you are aware about chi-square test, z-square test, you are aware about P ratios, you are aware about EBITDA margins and all those terms. So these figures or these terms are just terms for me. As an engineer, these are just black words for me. It's like Kala Akshar Vans Barabar, right? For you, these are something which you know much better, much bigger. So without, again, your involvement, it becomes impractical for me to directly interact with the clients and develop a package which can actually serve their financial needs and statistical requirements. Not possible at all. Just a simple example. Or maybe, again, reply to this. Tanuji can become a representative for that, for the entire crowd. If I'll tell you that, okay, Cricket World Cup is going on, fine. And a lot of people are actually watching the cricket matches, whether in-house or in grounds or with friends and all. And almost everybody is looking forward for Lay's chips, as Dhoni is also promoting that if not Lay's, no cricket at all. One small question. Lay's has to manufacture how much quantity in next 2 days to justify the World Cup final match? Fine, consumption. How much they have to manufacture, how much they have to pump into the market to justify that. Now, don't you feel as a country like India and the Lay's as a product is being circulated almost everywhere in the world? How many counters would be there wherein from Lay's would be dispersed or sold out in the market? I think you cannot even count out because your nearest Kirana wala and grocery store is also selling that thing, or maybe your pan wala is also selling, or a big bazaar and a best price is also selling the same. So it becomes so tough enough for them to figure out the quantum of quantity they have to manufacture to justify the demand, because anything lesser will be their loss. Anything more production will again be their loss. So justifying the right quantity at this point of time is a crucial task. And this cruciality is very challenging because India has reached the final. And if India would have not reached the final, I think consumption would have reduced multifold. So there are multiple factors which are connected to that. Now, don't you believe that considering all these factors and making sure that right production planning is being aligned to that is not manual work, cannot be planned by a single person or a team of person. You need technology for that, because technology will analyze the data, multiple facts and figures, and then give you certain outcomes. And those outcomes needs to be justified by an expert to show that, okay, these outcomes are good enough and we can produce this much. We can manufacture this much. And even Lay's is not a single product. There are multiple flavors into that. Now, whether tangy tomato flavor is more liked by a person or maybe a cheese flavor will be more liked, there is a lot of data which is flowing. So now let me tell you, or let me ask you, is there anybody else apart from a chartered accountant or a fintech person or a tech or what do you say, a statistical expert would be able to support an engineer to develop this? No. As an engineer, I can develop, but from where I will get the data, from where I'll get the information? You have to play the role. So again, the query for you, why you? I think I'm clearly justifying you all. Point number 4, you are master of auditing universe, guys. If I have to put up a control, first thing before putting up a control is what? Gaps, risk, threat, issues, vulnerabilities. So who will identify those? Auditor. I can develop a control. I can tell you this is the control. You can implement the control, but where? Why? What protection is needed? Why this control needs to be there? You have to justify that, and justification only comes up with the auditing. Right? So you are the king, you are the master of the auditing universe. And without your permission, without your input, controls are just a vague thing. Cannot be implemented, cannot be supportive. And wrong control at a right place or right control at a wrong place, both are challenging. The only right solution is right control at the right place. And this can only be justified when auditor has to play the role. Right? And point number 5, you are the best person to explain the business process from the futuristic perspective also. So where we are heading toward, that means whatever the solution technologically I am developing today, I should be aligning to your future expansion or planning and all, strategies and all. Fine. So again, when these 5 things are aligned to you as a chartered accountant, you as a financial fintech person, you as a business consultant to your company, I think without your involvement, can you expect a digital transformation to happen in the country? Not possible at all. Not at all possible. Fine. So as an engineer, I am the driver, but you are the fuel to make sure we are heading towards the right direction. Without you as a fuel, the car cannot move to a single meter also, leave the kilometer and leave the transformation part. So you are the fuel, I am the driver. Let's align together to make this happen. So guys, this is the time to accept that we are here for a change. You have to accept that digital transformation is something to happen, and you have to use a technology, audit, and your expertise into your particular domain as a tool to make this particular thing happen for all of us, for the country, because without digital transformation, we'll be lacking down in the race of being the global supreme power. Technology is the only driving force we will take apart. But without you involved, I cannot do everything. Without I involvement, you cannot do everything. Right? So I always conclude my maximum sessions with a line that 2/3 of the universe is covered with water and 1/3 is covered with auditors, guys. And you are the auditors for that. Right? So although there are a lot of things that needs to discuss, I can elaborate my sessions to an extent, whatever you want. But I want queries to come down from your side. If queries are not there, I'll quote certain examples. I'll quote certain things more in front of you. I have few more slides. But before my further slides, I need your inputs if they are good enough. Otherwise, I'll move forward. Tanuji, over to you.
There are some queries for us awaiting. That is number 1 query is of Kasturi Rangan KS, madam. The query being, what is business invoice fraud?
Okay. See, today, fake invoices is a big problem. Fine. Let me tell you, even Google, Facebook, and Microsoft has faced a problem of fake invoices. And those fake invoices are generated by in-house, by certain insider attacks and all, or maybe certain outsiders who have just morphed or hacked their devices and generated those invoices, and the payment, because it was in flow, payment was generated. Now, suppose Tanuji and me are very good alignment in each other in terms of business associations. I know Tanuji raises an invoice, and I know Tanuji is a very prominent supplier for me. As the invoice comes up, the payment has to be released in 3 days. Now, suddenly there is a fake invoice from Tanuji comes up, which she has not sent. Somebody has infused or morphed the system of Tanuji and shared the invoice to me. And I, receiving that invoice, process the payment. But what has been modified into that particular invoice is the fact that the account number was being slightly changed. It was not authenticated account number of Tanuji. It was somebody else's account number which was morphed and confiscated. But because of good relationship, the invoice process automatically. That is known as invoicing fraud, where invoice was raised from a genuine individual, but the payment goes to a attacker because of auto processing and all those things. Today, you search for these problems on internet, you will find out Microsoft have witnessed, Google have witnessed, and Facebook have witnessed collectively $11 million invoicing fraud in last 6 months. $11 million US. That's a big amount. So that is what is known as invoicing fraud, right? I hope I have made it clear, Ranganji.
Yes, sir, you are absolutely clear. There is one more query from Rajkumar Manglik, sir, of Goregaon. That is, what is blue jacking?
Okay. So that means you have taken the snapshot of that particular slide and you want everything to be discussed. Let me go back to that particular slide so that we'll be able to discuss much better. See, Suri sir has said something that network related issues and network related vulnerabilities are big enough, right? And network is not only intranet. Network is not only internet. Today we are creating network with Bluetooth devices also. And I am sure that you all are aware about the fact that there are a lot of devices which are connected to Bluetooth almost 24/7. Your car is Bluetooth enabled today?
Yes.
Right. Your Alexa connects with Bluetooth. Your smart TV is connected with Bluetooth. Fine. So that means we are already surrounded with a lot of devices which are Bluetooth connected devices, and our Bluetooth is almost open up these days. Now, if Bluetooth devices are being hacked by someone in that manner that our data gets open up, and it's very easy because most of us, after pairing a Bluetooth device, we do not unpair that. Fine. We open up our Bluetooth device in such a manner that they are connected to our connected devices default as soon as we come up into that particular ecosystems. When we sell our phones, do we ever bother to disconnect those Bluetooth devices specifically? And almost everybody of us changes our mobile phones and devices almost every second year. But how many of you are actually disconnecting those devices with your car, with your Alexa, or with your TVs? I think nobody has ever bothered to clean the entire things and disconnect them. Never ever bothered to clean the entire device and handing over to them. You only talks about deleting your contacts. That's it. Deleting your photographs. You never delete your network related access privileges. That's a problem. So blue jacking or Bluetooth jacking, fine, is related to Bluetooth network, wherein unwanted people or attackers enter into your Bluetooth and can do wrong activities with your Bluetooth devices, with your data, with your photographs, with your communication between your Bluetooth network. That is known as blue jacking. Okay.
Very clear, sir. One more query from Rajiv Saxena of Dubai. Please elaborate advanced persistent threat.
Fine. Today, you know that attackers are pretty much advanced. They are already moving ahead from defenders like us. We can create a control, but attacks happens first. Then only we are able to develop a control for that after analyzing that problem. Now, if an attacker is not using one particular pathway to breach the server or breach the network or breach your data storage devices, they are using multiple pathways and multiple technologies, and simultaneously parallel attacks are being planned. That is known as APT, which is known as advanced persistent threats. That means not from single angle. Find multiple angles. We are finding out threats coming to us in a systematic manner because attacker is very much focused to breach your server, to breach your control, to have access to your data or to your resources. So they know that one particular pathway can be blocked down, but multiple pathway attack at the same time, multiple technological attack from the baseline, it becomes tough enough. So APT are majorly being programmed with companies wherein they handle. See, if I talk about banks, as an attacker, as an hacker, if I'm an hacker, I would be interested into breaching down the bank and taking the entire money. So if I am not attacking a server of a bank from one particular angle, I am having a team of 4 or 5 individuals, and everybody of us is trying from different technology, different pathways simultaneously to attack a particular server so that the controls are being broken down from either of the angles. That is known as APT, right? So APTs are majorly planned up with certain larger organizations in a very structured manner, That means attackers are very focused to breach your controls.
And that takes prolonged time to enter into your system.
Obviously, and at the same time, we as a defender will not be able to protect things from all the possible angles. It's like somebody is coming up with a sword, a gun, a knife, a hammer, and all those things. So you with one particular control will not be able to protect from all those particular threats at the same time. That is an APT threat.
Yes. That is something like chessboard.
Yeah.
One more query from Pankaj Jansar of Mumbai. What is factory reset is the solution?
No, you cannot say factory reset is always a solution because factory reset only talks about your own hardware resetting. But when it comes to network, it becomes tough enough. So in your phone, if you are connected to a network, your factory reset will reset the basic things. But that network connectivity may not get reset. Your phone connectivity with a particular service provider like Vodafone or Idea will not get reset. Right? So it can be a solution, but let me ask you one thing. Can you always format your device or go for a factory setting situations in a problem? No. That is not a solution. The solution is to sustain your data, to sustain your network, because that is something which is the lifeline of your business. You cannot always go with factory setting and reset the system and restart things all over again. It's not like, suppose on a particular day, your bank says, boss, your account has been breached out. Please start your account from zero again. Forget whatever was there in your account, whatever is worth crore rupees in your account, forget that, start from zero. Can you think of that? No. So we can think of restarting your bank account from zero. When a breach happens, you should not think of restarting your network or devices also when something happens. Right? And network reset is not a solution. It is a solution only for hardware resetting. Network and software related issues will still continue.
Definitely, sir. And one more query from my side, that what is IoT attack?
IoT is Internet of Things. Today, you know that almost everybody of us is surrounded by IoT devices. You might be wearing a smartwatch, right? So that smartwatch is an IoT device which is connected to your phone. Correct?
Correct.
Although that smart device may be very helpful for you in terms of finding out how many steps you have walked a day, how many calories you have burned. Maybe when your phone is at a distance apart, you can actually see if an urgent call on your phone, you can attend that as well from your smartwatch and all. That those are IoT devices. So today we are having smart TV, smart homes, smart cars, smart watches, smart cameras, smart eyewear, smart body wears. We are already surrounded by smart devices. Now, when it comes to smart, these are all IoT devices, that is Internet of Things devices. All these are IoT devices. So when IoT devices, we are surrounded by this, IoT threats are also need to be understood. Let me quote one particular example for you so it becomes very clear. You can see it is hardly a 4 months old incident in the country. There is a population in the country who has a problem with heart. They need pacemakers, right?
Yes.
To make sure that hearts are pumping perfectly. Now, up till 2020, the pacemakers were traditional pacemakers. Now, if somebody has infused a pacemaker today, you will not be able to know whether your pacemaker is working perfectly or not 2 years, 3 years down the line. Right? So you have to recheck it on the regular basis. Just a couple of years back, pacemakers with IoT has been made. That means there is a sensor in the pacemaker, so you can monitor the pacemaker functioning on your mobile phone also. Right? So you can see whether pacemaker is working perfectly or not. If not, you can immediately go to doctor and replace your pacemaker. Correct? So don't you feel IoT devices are very helpful in such a manner?
Yes.
But on the other side, negative aspect for it. Because that device is IoT device, which is accessible on phone, internet connected and all, there is an incident 4 months back in country itself. Somebody has hacked that pacemaker device and intentionally stopped the functioning. Intentionally. So even without recalling the problem, the person was gone. That's an IoT threat. So you are dependent on IoT devices. You are more going to be dependent on smart devices, smart city, smart homes, smart ecosystem, smart cars, smartphones and all. The more dependency, that means more of network connectivity, and more of network connectivity means probability of hacking or increase multifold. Your normal CRT 21-inch, 29-inch TV would have no possibility of being hacked because they are not connected to a network or an internet. But today, smart TV has a possibility for that. So we are all talking about this because we are heading towards more of technological ecosystem around us. So IoT are all those smart devices. IoMT is Internet of Medical Things. We are using all these pacemakers is what? IoMT. And giving more information on a phone is good enough. But hacking these devices and creating a disaster based on that, it's another challenge. So IoMT threats are connected to those smart devices threats which are all around us now.
Thank you so much, sir. There is one more query from Ranjan Das of Hong Kong. How can we use AI to protect against cybercrime?
See, as of now, AI cannot be used to protect cybercrime. AI can be used to inform you that there is a vulnerability in your system or there is some attack which is going to happen in your system, so that you can take a proactive or a post-active action to eliminate that. But as of now, AI cannot help you to solve the problem on its own. Because as of now, we are talking about generative AI who can generate certain solutions for you, but will not be able to implement and apply solutions for you on behalf of you. So implementation has not happened. Why has not happened, and it will not happen in the near future as well? Reason: we as an individual has more critical insight. We visualize things not only from data which is on the past basis, we are visualizing things from the futuristic angle as well. We apply our own common sense. We apply on IQ or EQ as well into that. So AI, if take all action on its own, can you ensure that all AI devices will take the right steps? No. Fine, all Rajnikant is not acting like Chitti. There are certain negative Chittis also you all witness into your robotic movies, right? Yes. So if AI start acting negatively, our life will be in danger, and we do not want to happen that. AI can only be informative for you, can only give you suggestions. Implementation has to be done with your own knowledge, expertise, intelligence, and understanding the situation and futuristic impact of that.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely. AI can never be the solution to all the problems of human life.
No. At the same time, let me quote one more line for you. And most of the chartered accountants, not only, it's all fraternity all around the world talks about that. Sir, is AI going to replace us? Is AI going to replace us? I am involved with around 150 universities all around the country. I deliver multiple sessions out there. Every engineer, every financial or management professionals ask me, sir, AI is going to replace us. Boss, AI is never here to replace. That the same problem was there 20 years back also. When computers have come up into the business, people feel like computer will replace their jobs. Jobs have not replaced, jobs have increased multifold since then till date. Right? Today, AI is not here to replace and will never replace. The only thing which will replace is what? Person with AI capabilities. Person with capabilities of using AI tool will replace person without these capabilities. As in today, can we expect a person like chartered accountant, engineer, doctor, or a financial professional, manager professional to be getting a job without computer skills? He says that I do not know any computer skills, sir. I do not know Word, Excel, PowerPoint, email, nothing, but still employ me. Give me a job. Is there any possibility of that job? No. In future, there will be no jobs for people who do not have capabilities of using AI tools. So align yourself with the right AI tools. You are employable, you are professionally capable to sustain in future. You without AI tools or technological tools 10 years down the line are going to be like Babajis. You have to only go to Himalayas and get into that godly level. You are not a financial professional. You cannot earn money into the market. Let me be very clear to that. Right? So AI will not replace person with AI capabilities, will replace person without AI capabilities.
Definitely. As being rightly pointed out by you in the webinars starting itself, that we are heading towards the age of fintech, and that's a combination of financial professionals as well as technical professionals. So it's the right combination of fintech that will create the future.
It's not only fintech, Tanuji, every area. Agriculture person are looking for agri-tech. Medical have become med tech. Education has become ed tech. So financial has become fintech. So when tech is already aligned to all these verticals, you cannot minus tech in future.
Yes, definitely, especially in the Amrit Kal of India, that next 25 years we are going to be the leader in finance as well as the technological aspects. We need to update ourselves.
Right. Now, few important updates for you. I have put up the slide as it is, screenshot from the website itself, just to tell you, focus on date mentioned out there. Focus on it. MSME seeks more time to meet CERT. CERT, you all know, Computer Emergency Response Team. It's an eminent body in the country as per Section 722 Information Technology Act. Fine, to talk about that computer-related crimes and issues in the country and find out or put up a defensive model and a solution in front of government and all those corporates as well. So certain says MSME needs more time to meet certain requirements. That means the requirements are already been set up by Computer Emergency Response Team to be implemented by all MSMEs. But there is no person to align MSMEs with those requirements because we are looking towards what? IAS auditors. We are lacking in tech personals like you who can actually be that catalyst into aligning those things. So 23rd September, that was a news. Fine. Another news. Cyber security pitfalls and now negligence can be expensive to MSMEs. This is a news of 15th of April 2023. Right? Distributed denial of service attack, ransomware attack are actually more affecting MSMEs because MSMEs are not protected. Large cap are already protected by large clients. Infosys is giving best solution, or TCS is giving best solution to entire bodies of or entire corporate companies of Tata. But who is giving solution to your nearby organization? Who is even not listed? Who is just talking about 10, 20, 30 crore turnover? Infosys, Tata will not give the solution to them and they will not be able to approach TCS and Infosys for that. You have to act as a catalyst. And these are clear-cut inductions that Indian market is lacking right controls. Indian market is lacking professionals who can implement right security measures in MSME market. And MSME drives 68% of the global economy. Indian economy, not global, Indian economy. Let me give you one more news. Indian small businesses are at higher risk of cyber. This is a report which is being generated on 28th of September 2022 after analyzing data from January 20 to July 2022. Indian small business are at higher risk. So not only ransomware, the data breaches are now a bigger problem. Right, and this particular was reported by me only. I was the person who has scripted this particular, analyzed this particular report and presented it for a news agencies, and they have put it up on their portal. Right, small businesses, big problem, cyber attack crashing India's MSMEs. Right, you can see this is 26th of October, last month only. I am only putting up these things in front of you to tell you that market is already eyeing towards looking forward for you to come down and serve them. Right? And there are only 3 reasons for it. Let me tell you, although there are Hindi words, some of you might not be aligned to that. Only 3 reasons for cyber risk: lalach, alas, and dar. Greed, laziness, and fear. You are greedy, and that is the reason even 500 rupees voucher coming from XYZ sources, you try to click it and take it. Right? Suppose there is a message coming on Tanuji's phone that there's a 500 rupees Amazon voucher lying out on your phone. If India wins, claim that voucher. She will click it. That is lalach, greed of even 500 bucks. 90% of the Indian individuals do not know that all these links coming to them is a click jacking, is a threat, is an issue. They may be diverted to certain vulnerabilities. They can give permission to whatever exists on that particular link. Front can be something which is being presented to you. Back end, there can be infinite lines of coding on that particular link which can create blunders. So avoid this lalach. Avoid laziness. Laziness means your income tax, your insurance person calls you that your insurance is being matured. Please come up, submit your documents, and receive the claim. You say that, is there any alternate way out for doing so? Because coming down to your office may not be an easy task for me because I am occupied here, there, and all. They said that, sir, please click a photograph of your PAN card, Aadhaar card, and XYZ things and send it to us. We'll put it claim. Are you sharing your vulnerable or valuable information on a digital mode to somebody you have never seen of? You do not know how they can misuse that particular information for you to generate certain fake phones, IDs, put that into a hotel and do certain mischievous and ingenious activities and under your name. So avoid that lalach, alas, and fear also. Fear means there is a message coming on your mail that your credit card is going to expire. Please click it to verify that you are the genuine individual. That comes up only at the time when your credit card is about to get expired. So you feel like, oh, we are feared that it get expired. So please click it and claim it. Dar. So avoid lalach, alas, and dar. You will be separating risk, typical cyber risk, from your market. But market is aligned to these 3 terms. So your businessman will have lalach, will have alas, and will have dar. Make sure that greed, laziness, and fear of their will becomes a revenue opportunity for you. So do not leave that lalach, alas, and dar in your clients. Consider that as an opportunity for you to capitalize on that. Right? So that's all from my side. It's a small chart which I want to present every time when somebody look forward for what are the ways in which a cybersecurity ecosystems can be created. Fine, it's a 3-step methodology. Every step is divided into 4 phases. If you implement those things, every cybersecurity problem or every cyber problem or every IT problem has a solution in these 3 steps. Systematically implement those things. You will be aligning to GRC framework. You will be aligning to putting up the right security in the right place. You will be able to justify every solutions in a very perfect manner. Over to you, Tanuji. You can have questions with me, but collectively, I think this is the role we need to play on. Let's make India a better cyber safe nation, because we know that today youth, age-old people, and the young generation, which I am addressing right now, everybody is connected to technology. And it's everybody's safe use will only make this particular country a cyber safe nation, which is required. Because the way we are heading towards involvement of technology into our life, it becomes very impractical for us. Safety has to be a part for it. It has to be like walking down a road. It's being from the childhood, you know that you have to look left, right, and then move. So it's like what is to be done right from the cyber safe nation. It has to be taught as basic level as. That means I believe that school should initiate first, but I think everybody of you has to have a play a role. Maybe not for your MSMEs and all, at least for your family, you have the responsibility to make it cyber safe. Right? So thank you, Tanuji. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. As we can see in the comments box that Ashok Kumar Jhabak sir and Jai Kumar Shah sir from Bangalore and Raipur, Ryan, respectively, has also said that even they were the victims of ransomware and many of the other attacks, cyber attacks. So it's very much prevalent, and we need to take the preventive measures not only for ourselves but for the business of our clients as well, because if they are protected, if their information is protected, then only they can serve to the needs of the society.
And let me tell you, it's not only preventive controls. See, we put preventive, corrective, and right controls, detective, preventive, detective, and corrective controls on the sequence. I believe before these three controls, there is something which is more important, is the informative control. You have to have the right information that what preventive, detective, and corrective control needs to be placed in. So I believe you should not focus on these things. The first is have the right information. Then these by default flows with that. So be informative first. Not think about what are the preventive, detective, and corrective controls. Think about have the right information, find out the right information at the right time. Make sure that you are not being diverted by certain useless flow of information all around the social media platforms and all. Look forward for IT related information issues. And I think certain websites are being a direct source of information for you to be more informative. That is the solution, or that will be the solution which will serve your purpose and my purpose as well.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. There is one query from Sumit Jan, sir, of Jaipur. Sir, please suggest some cyber security certification courses.
There are infinite, dear. I need to know that which particular you want. You can be a ethical hacker also. You can do certified ethical hacker course. You can do ISO 27000 course, which will give you a kind of controls implementer person. You can do what do you say? 22301 also. That's if somebody is already been attacked by someone, then you can be a BCP professional, business continuity professional, so that you can revive their business again to a next level. Fine. So courses are infinite, but let me tell you that you cannot do all courses, and all courses are not connected to you. Fine. You need to find out your area of interest first. As in, I am a digital transformation consultant, but primarily engage with only education institutions, whether it is coaching, school, universities, colleges. I have fixed up my that because that domain I have expertise. I know their problem. I know what solution they want. I know what kind of data they are capturing, so that my solutions and my connection with them becomes very specific. You cannot do all kind of expertise at one point of time. You cannot give services to a manufacturer or to a service provider or to a bank at the same time, because every problem is different and every solution is different. Align yourself to a particular problematic areas and be expertise into that. You can just be a firewall expert, like implementation, auditing, and upgradation of firewall. That itself becomes a big opportunity for you.
Definitely, sir. I hope that his query has been solved, and we would like to request for any further queries in this direction, which can be taken from Dr. Saurabh Maheshwari, sir. Sir, I would like to know more about algo trading. If you
algo trading, fine. So see, actually, what happens is history. We used to trade manually. We used to feed what we need to buy. We need to feed what we need to sell in the share market, right? Today, when it comes to so fast moving share market, wherein a lot of companies are there, it becomes very impractical for you to keep a watch on almost all the shares you are looking for. At the same time, you can also not visualize the working of all those things. If there will be an algorithm which has been built up, which can do the trading on behalf of you of certain specific shares of your interest, so that it can sell out at a higher price, it can buy back at a lower price automatically without you being directly involved out there. I think that becomes an easy way out to earn money, right? So algo trading is related to that, which is certified, which is approved by government, which is approved by SEBI, wherein algorithms can be built up to do trading. The volume can only be 50% of the volume entirely generated to that particular share market. That means suppose there is a 1 lakh crore trading happening every day, you can have a 50 lakh trading maximum controlled with algo trading market. And this is being a global scenario wherein today, if you look forward for tools like Grow, you know that Grow, you know Zerodha, these are the companies who have actually developed from algo trading. But the only difference between them and us is that they are doing large caps and we are only focusing on small caps and mid caps, typically small caps. Right. So our beta version is already under testing. We are already doing a lot of algo trading with it. We'll be releasing the final version and I'll be coming up to put that in one of the digital seminars organized by Chartered Accountant body only in Aurangabad. So I'll be there to present that particular tool of mine with my team on 9th of December. Fine. So there you can interact and see that particular tool on a front end basis, that how this is going to work. And then gradually I will look forward for entire Chartered Accountant fraternity. If you want to get engaged with us into that particular work and earn money also, we can have a elaborated engagement for hundreds of years. And that particular thing becomes an automatic money generating machine for you.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. We look forward as being financial experts in this direction to work and to explore the new fields.
Sure.
Any more queries of the visitors? We cannot see any further queries and no further questions from participant itself signifies that your deliberation has been the solution provider to all their doubts on the topic discussed.
No, my deliberation should be raising their queries. It should not be a solution,
Yes.
because solutions we need to
Yes.
find out. Fine, we are
Yes.
here to talk about the opportunities, problems prevailing. Solutions is still a long way ahead, and everybody effort needs to be put up in the right direction to come up with a solution. But I think
Yes.
igniting their interest into this particular field was the interest of DAB, Nanda sir, and I think you as well as an organizer. And I think Suri sir and me would have justified our role into igniting the interest, putting their footprints into the tech market.
Definitely, sir. As you correctly said that the problem has not yet come. We are about to discover the problem and we are going to take the proactive role in discovering the problem in the initial phase itself and solving it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for
very
sharing your words of wisdom and your knowledge and expertise of the subject and enlightening all with your valuable suggestions or with valuable insights that you gave, that what are the opportunities available to us not only for 2 to 3 years but for more decades to come, that what we can as professionals do and how that can help us all together to grow up. I hope that your solutions, your suggestions will be taken care of by all the participants and will all benefit by the suggestions of yours.
Sure. Thank you very much. And I'm always accessible to the entire fraternity because it is alignment of us is required to develop the digital ecosystem in the country. Safe and sustainability is our responsibility. So take that problem or take that load on our shoulder. Let's go together further.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. With these words and with the conclusion remarks, I would like to extend my vote of thanks to all the participants, to the speakers, to the keynote speakers, to all the ICI members who had taken the initiative of taking this webinar forward and enlightening all of us with the knowledge sharing basis.
Thank you very much, all of you. Good night.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
sir. Good night, sir. With these words, we would like to end our session.